Welcome back, everybody. Today's guest has played one of those roles that has quietly touched a lot of people in many ways. Today's guest is Shirley Kennedy. She has spent nearly 4 decades working as a registered nurse, with 29 of those years working inside of correctional institutions, a world many of us don't get to see, but plays a huge role in our healthcare and justice system. She has also been a leader in nursing across Ontario, acting as the past president of the College of Nurses of Ontario, the past president of Ontario Correctional Nurses Interest Group, as well as the senior policy analyst with the Ministry of Health, helping shape healthcare across the entire province. But beyond the titles and accomplishments, Shirley is someone who deeply values friendship, family, and connection. She is also a wife, a mom, a grandma, a sister, and currently works as a wedding officiant. And she was actually my wedding officiant. That's how I got to know Shirley. And most recently, she is also the co-author of a book called, the current working title is called Lifelines, although it's not quite out yet. The manuscript is finished, and we do talk about it in this episode, but it's a book that she wrote with 6 of her nursing friends who met in nursing school, and they've been very close friends for nearly 50 years now. Let's jump right into it. Here is Shirley Kennedy.
Hey you, you're listening to Just Drew, Just Drew, Just Drew.
First of anything like this?
Oh, it's my first podcast,
Whoa,
for sure.
Very exciting.
I mean, I'm very used to using a microphone, but...
No kidding, right? I was like, you weren't nervous, were you? Because you stand up in front of hundreds of people all the time.
No, I'm never nervous to talk.
That's
no.
good. That's good. Because I know, obviously, you're not the center of attention at a wedding, but
I hope not.
That's a lot of people. That's
looking
a lot of people.
at you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And usually you're there before the bride and groom, and you're standing up there, and people,
yes.
Who's this lady?
Who is this person? Yeah, I usually try to introduce myself.
That's
right?
nice. Yeah.
But I try not to be the center of attention, right? Because it's not about me. It's about the couple. So we try to keep that focus there. But of course, you are standing front and center. So there you are, right?
And wow, you're very good at it, if I must say. I was very impressed.
I love doing your wedding.
Yeah.
Your wedding is like one of my all-time favorites.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
For context, for people listening, Shirley officiated my wedding.
It was so easy to write your wedding, right? Because there was so much you gave me so much good information. Both you and Ashley gave me really good information. And so to be able to turn that into something that was fun and relevant to who you were was really enjoyable, right? And for me, when I see couples react to what I'm saying to them during a ceremony, that is like the best feeling ever, right? And
you shocked us.
I know, and I can remember looking at you, and you were kind of like, you could see your mind working, right? Like, what is this? What is this? And it was like, oh, and then there was like, then you were like, in the moment and smiling, and I'm thinking, yeah, okay, he gets it, right? Like
I think 2 lines, and I was like, these are Raquel lyrics. For context, everybody, Shirley did I don't know what to call it, but you took lyrics from all of the Arkell songs and sort of made them into a story about
you
our
two.
past.
Yes.
It's very impressive.
Yes.
We were both very shocked in a very pleasant way.
It was fun to do. And then I loved how your videographer turned that into something, even more special when they did your video. Like, it was great.
As a former wedding videographer, that is gold.
Yes.
So, of course, I'm going to revolve the whole thing around that.
Yeah. The downside is I think other people expect to get the same kind of thing. And you can't always... I mean, I can't duplicate things, right? So every couple is very different. So, I think Cooper would like to have some martini.
What's on the menu today? What do you got there, Shirley?
I got a dirty martini, Cooper. What do you think?
I wonder if he might like the saltiness of it.
Yeah, but I don't think it's good for him, is it?
I don't think any alcohol is good for any animal, but he tries. I've seen him stick his head in a glass of whiskey, straight whiskey, and start licking it.
Really?
Loves it.
Oh.
I don't know. It baffles me.
Oh, he's sweet. He's a sweet boy.
Oh, yes. He comes off. Well, he is sweet. He's a lot of work.
Yes.
He's a piece of work.
He has his own personality,
Oh,
right?
my gosh, yes. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell Brad, and I used to tell them that because they're like, oh, we want this to be like very bougie looking. And I'm like, well, what event space are you in?
Right.
If you're getting married in a living room,
Yes.
it's not going to look very bougie.
Right.
I can't pull it out of thin air.
Right.
So it really depends on the location and the decoration. A lot of it's out of my control.
Weddings has really evolved over time, right? When I think back to when I got married, which was 46 years ago.
What?
Yeah,
I was thinking it was
46.
like at least 10.
No. Yeah. A lot of time has passed. But I mean, you couldn't have a wedding outside, right? Like that didn't happen. When you got married, you either went to City Hall or you got married in a church. Mm-hmm. Those were like your only options. And now when people get married, like everything is on the table. You can do just about anything as far as a ceremony goes. So
yeah, I guess back in the day, like the church had a real kind of like hold on because it was a spiritual thing. It still is,
Yes.
I guess. But it's sort of evolved past that because you're not a minister. You're an officiant.
Technically, I am
You
a
are a
minister.
minister. Oh,
yes.
okay.
So I think that's a misconception among people that they think that wedding officiants are just people who have registered with the province to do weddings.
Yeah.
But that's not actually accurate.
Just a piece of hair by your nose here.
Do I? On my
Yeah,
nose?
you got it.
Okay.
Sorry, I could see it, and I knew you would
Thank
thank
you.
me later.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't want to do the whole interview like that.
You're good.
Yeah, so when it comes to who your officiant is, there's kind of two categories. So the first is the civil kind of side of things. So it could be a judge, could be a justice of the peace,
Right.
or it could be a city clerk. So those are kind of like the people on the civil side of things. Everybody else is associated with a religious organization.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I know. Most people don't know that. And most officiants don't advertise that because the majority of the people that we marry don't want religious content in their ceremony. They don't want it to sound like they're getting married in church. So, but everybody else who is an officiant has to first off be ordained through some religious organization and then apply for that religious organization, then make sure that you get registered with the province so that you're eligible to do weddings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
I know. Yeah, you're not the only one. Most people don't know
So
that.
what, am I allowed to ask like where you were ordained?
So I belong to a group called the Canadian International Metaphysical Ministry.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different. Of course, there are those ministers who are associated with traditional church groups, right? Your Catholic priests and your Anglican ministers and those kind of people. But then for anybody else who's more community-based, they probably are affiliated with a religious organization that, doesn't necessarily have a physical presence in the community, but is kind of a ministry of sorts, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you get is there a different title? Is there a specific title that you get that you don't advertise? Like,
Well, technically my title is Reverend,
Reverend.
but I don't
Shirley.
advertise that. I do not advertise that.
Yeah,
no,
you say I'm an
no.
officiant.
Yeah, because it's not what people are looking for.
No.
And one of the first questions I always ask people when I sit down to meet with them to talk about their ceremony is, do you want religious content in your ceremony? And most people don't. Right? Even people who are spiritual in nature don't want that kind of feeling that's not the vibe that they're going for.
I guess even if they do attend church, I guess not everybody there attends their church.
That's right.
Right.
That's
So
right.
they don't
That's
wanna
right.
press that
And
on
then
them.
sometimes there's the opposite problem, right? Where there's a parent or a grandparent who is very involved in their church and they kind of want to impose that onto the young couple that's getting married.
I have a friend who's getting married, and we were speaking about this exact topic.
Yes. Yeah. It's a challenge sometimes, right? So
Yeah.
that's something too that I often work with people, with couples, right? Because they'll say to me, well, my grandmother's very involved, or my grandfather's a pastor here, and think, well, there's a reason why you're not getting married in church. So obviously it's not so important to you, but if it is important to them, and there's like small, subtle ways that we can kind of give a nod to the parent or the grandparents' feelings about that without actually making it sound like a religious ceremony, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go to a wedding and feel like they're in church.
Some might. There's a few that might.
Maybe,
Me
but
personally not.
But not most.
No. Because, like, at least in my perspective, I'm there to celebrate these two individuals and not.
Yeah, it's more about their love story, right?
Yeah.
It's not about some specific religion or some dogma.
Have you done very religious ones, or will
I
you?
have.
You
Yes,
have,
I have, and I
Okay.
do, and I enjoy those too, right?
Nice.
It's different. But yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you start?
I think I did my first wedding in 2018.
Okay.
The thought about doing ceremonies started in 2013 when my daughter got married.
Okay.
So I'd never thought about doing this. And when she got married, she had a beautiful ceremony outdoors, and it was lovely. And I remember sitting there watching her get married and looking at the officiant that married her and thinking, I could do that. Right? And so I said to my daughter afterwards, like, I really loved your ceremony. Everything about it was so wonderful. And I'm thinking, maybe this is something I should do when I retire. And so she connected me with the officiant who did her wedding. And that person kind of gave me the down low, right? This is what's involved. This is kind of what it looks like. And
Because when you're getting ordained, is there a test? Is there training?
There's training,
Okay.
right? So there is training. There is education. Of course, that would be very dependent on which religious organization you're affiliating yourself with.
I see.
They all would have very different things that
Okay.
they would want from you.
Do they all generally follow a format?
I'm not sure because I only know what I did, right?
Right.
So I'm not sure. But I do know that their ceremonies differ. So the specific organization that you're affiliated with would have some requirements for what needs to be in the body of a ceremony.
I see.
And so there may be differences. So when I talk to a couple and I say, these are the things that have to be part of your ceremony, some of that is what my organization requires. Some of it is what the province of Ontario requires. But
Right.
that might be different
To make
for
it
another officiant.
legally binding.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you need to say I do, right? Is
Oh,
that
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
are some
that needs to be included.
there are some very legal things that need to happen, right?
see.
In Ontario, there's a marriage act, boring legal things, but those are things that that you have to include, right? You have to make sure people are coming into that ceremony with some sort of informed consent, right? I mean, that's not a big issue in Canada like it is, say, in Middle Eastern countries, but you still need to make sure that both parties coming into the marriage are willing to do so, that they
Right.
consent to
And
do
not
so.
under the influence.
Oh, that for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's something, that's part of what we talk about when we do rehearsal, right? You guys need to, it's okay to have a mimosa and a couple beers in the morning when you're getting ready. But if you show up and you're inebriated, I can't do your ceremony, right? You
not
have
legally
to,
binding.
You have to be of sound mind,
Yes.
right? In that moment. So.
Has that ever happened?
No, I've never had that happen. No, but I am pretty clear with people not to, I always say to them, I always feel like I'm the downer here when I say this to you. But I know, especially for wedding parties, it's more likely to be the wedding party that is inebriated
Right.
rather than the bride and groom.
Just
But
legally okay?
Yeah.
Bit of a problem, though?
But I like to say to them ahead of time, right? Like, I know that everybody here does not want to do anything at all that is going to spoil bride and groom's day. So,
That's one of them.
Right. That is something that could definitely turn things sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've seen some pretty bad ones.
I know. I've heard of some pretty bad ones.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. How many do you think you've done since 20?
How many weddings?
Yeah.
I have really no idea. I think I stopped counting at about 500.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm well beyond that, but I can't keep track anymore. I just don't. I don't.
So in the peak season, like how many are you doing? in a
My target is about 40 a year. I
Okay.
have done closer to 60.
Okay.
That was like too much, right? That was,
Right.
me being afraid to say no in my early days.
Right.
Right. When you're new in business,
Any opportunity.
yeah, you're worried, right? That
Yeah.
you're not gonna get enough. So you say yes to everything. And I found, in those first couple of years that just ruined my private life because I was constantly working. But it was hectic.
Yeah.
It was great. I was making money,
Yeah.
but it's too much, right? So I got a little wiser as time went by.
Wow. That's yeah. I mean, that's a lot of prep too.
The prep is huge.
Because I'm trying to remember from a few years ago, like you had categories, but then we answered a ton of questions, and then you
Yes.
have to turn that
Yes.
information into
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. The preparation is, easily, more than 10 times what the actual ceremony time is.
Oh my goodness.
There's a lot of work that goes into it to do it the way I do it, right?
That's true. I feel, yes, I guess certain ones would have different standards. I've seen some very bad ones.
I'll bet you've seen a lot of interesting things.
Yes, at least from the perspective of a videographer. One huge thing I can tell between a professional and someone who's new is when they're going in for a kiss, the officiant gets out of the way.
Yes. Yes.
Not all of them do that. So, yeah, I've done somewhere I've had, like, photography, I had to digitally
You had to remove them from the picture.
It's a little odd seeing
Yeah.
an individual in the
Yeah.
background staring at it.
And does it look awkward, right?
Oh,
When they're-
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I say I don't want to be front and center. It's not my day, right? So those are moments where you should get out of the way,
Yeah.
right? And same with when they're doing their own vows. I don't need to be right in the middle of them when they're doing their vows. I try to step aside for that as well, so it's more of an intimate moment between them.
Between the two of them, yeah. Other things I've seen it more with religious sort of ceremonies, and it's the minister sort of has free will as far as what's section of the Bible he's going to pick or how he's going to
Yes.
interpret, or
Yes.
and some of it doesn't always come off
Right.
maybe as they wanted to. Because I've heard them, and I don't think the bride and groom knew what he was going to say.
Right, right.
And then they say it, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting take.
I know. It's funny what you hear, right? I remember going to a cousin's wedding one time and the minister talked a lot about divorce. And I'm thinking, that's so not appropriate at a wedding. Like, let's get them married and wish them well on their way. Let's not think about how things could turn badly later.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
This is not the time for that.
Trying to like scare them into. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody's different.
Yes, yeah, for sure,
So-
for sure. I never get to see other officiants in
That's true.
action, right? So I don't
Yeah.
really know what other people do or how that.
Because at least for what I was doing, I could watch at least other videos, right?
Yes.
You
Well, I've done that, right?
Right.
I've
I guess you
Googled
could-
things on YouTube to kind of see different things, but then you're seeing things from across the world too, right? You're not necessarily seeing local things.
yeah, and you're also not. You don't know what they're doing outside of that clip for
Yes,
prep and
true. That's true.
All of that
That's
stuff.
true. Yeah.
Mindset even. Are you ever scared that maybe like does it happen where you're sick and you can't make a wedding, or like have you ever had any?
I've never had that happen.
Okay, that's good.
It's a concern though.
There's only one of you.
Just Drew.
Yup. It's still me. Summer is right around the corner, and historically, that is when consumer spending spikes. Think patio season, events, beach days, weekend getaways, visits to wineries like Burning Kiln Winery. The list doesn't end. People are out, and they are buying. If you want to get your business in front of a loyal audience before they decide where to spend their money this summer, let's talk. The Just Drew podcast will give you long-form trust, local relevance, and real word-of-mouth advertising. Remember, this isn't a billboard, it's an endorsement. Let's make sure your business is a part of the summer conversation. Now, back to the scheduled programming.
So there is only one of me,
Yeah.
and I have thought as time has gone by and I've seen some success in my own business, I have thought about adding a team, but I don't do that because I think I don't want to be that big, and I don't want my reputation to be riding on somebody else's performance.
Right.
Right. But I think that I do have officiant friends who could step in right? If
there's an emergency.
If I called and said, I can't, whatever. But I think I'd pretty much have to be almost dead before I did not show up, right?
Has that happened to you in reverse? Like, have you helped out other?
I have.
You have,
I
yeah.
have gone last minute to do that. The challenge with that is I think if you're a good officiant, you're booked. And so being able to help somebody else, many times I've not been able to do that because I've had my own commitment that day. Yeah.
I see. See. And so are you staying in touch with a group of them, or how does that work?
Well, within my own ministry, there is we have a chat group.
Oh, okay.
So I know, kind of who's in Ontario, who's more local. Right. So we kind of know people that way. But I also have friends like as a vendor in Norfolk, you get to know other vendors, right? So people who work in this industry in this area. And so you do kind of rely on those people to, if you're new, you rely on them to mentor you a little bit. We rely on each other to refer. I don't think of my business as very competitive. I know some wedding vendors, some categories are very competitive with each other. I think in officiating, we're not. I think most officiants recognize that there is the right officiant for the right couple, and we're not all necessarily the right person for every couple. And if I can't do a wedding, or if I think I should not do a wedding, if I don't think I'm the best fit for them, then I would recommend someone else in this area.
That's a good mindset.
Well, you want their day to be the best that it can be, right? You don't want it to be, like I said, it's not about you, it's about them, right? And sometimes, it's not very often, but sometimes I do get requests from couples and I think, that's not me. I don't think I'm the best person for that.
Yeah, you can't fulfill their requests to the full extent.
Right. Yes.
Just because of who you are.
Exactly. And I think as an officiant, it's important that you just be who you are, right? Because people they'll either connect with you or they won't, right? Yeah. And it's important to me that they connect with me. I think it's such an intimate moment when the three of you are standing, in that little triangle during the ceremony. I want that couple to be comfortable with who I am.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I don't do well is comedy.
Okay.
I have a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
And I always try to incorporate humor into a ceremony, but my humor is more one-liner witty kind of humor. I'm not a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And some people want that kind of vibe for their ceremony.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm thinking,
they want to entertain.
Yeah.
I see.
It's like a show, right? And I think, that's really not me. Like, I can appreciate that that's what you want, but maybe you want A, B, or C. That's not my.
Now you're sharing the intention as like a third.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you may, as we have spoken, kind of not your style.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take on something that I'm not going to do well.
Yeah.
Because then that's my reputation at stake again, too, right?
Did that take you some time to sort of develop? Because you said at the beginning you would just, yes.
You take whatever. Yes,
yeah.
You do. You need to get confident in what you're doing. I was never uncomfortable talking in front of people. I've always been a talker. I was the kid that the grade 3 teacher said talks too much in class.
Really?
Yes, yeah. I've always been a talker. So that was not an issue, right?
Okay.
But it took me a while just to get kind of comfortable in my own skin, like to realize that the couples who hire me, they connect with me, who I am personally, right? We share values, we share a sense of humor, we share something, right? There's something that connects us. And I think that's important, right? To have that kind of connection with people.
Well, you're very easygoing.
I try to be.
Yeah.
My husband might not say the same always.
Well, that's with every spouse, that's a little different, but you're very you're approachable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's been my whole life, right?
Yeah.
Like my background prior was nursing, and so you're very used to connecting with people.
I would love to dive into.
Oh my gosh, yeah. A lot of years in that.
You have like 4 times the experience as you do as an officiant, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Was it 39 years?
39 years I worked in nursing. Yes.
Jeez.
Yes.
Do you want to flip over to that?
Oh, sure. I'm happy to talk about whatever. Do you have questions?
Well, let's put a little some context here. You wrote a book.
Well, yes, I with 5 other co-authors
Yes.
who are nurses that I went to school with.
Yeah.
And we have not yet published, but the manuscript is done, and now we're in the process of looking at publishing options.
Exciting.
It is very exciting.
Are we allowed to say the title?
Well,
do you want to wait?
The working title is Lifelines.
Okay.
That, of course, could change, right? Depending on what a publisher's input is.
I see.
Yeah.
We'll mark it better.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So, I mean, that was the title we chose. It's and it has a subtitle. The subtitle is 6 Nursing Friends, 50 Unforgettable Years, and 1 Unbreakable Bond, because there are 6 of us that met at Georgian College when we started our nursing education. And that was in 1977. So as of next year, we will have been friends for 50 years.
Wow.
That's amazing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people who maintain long-term relationships. They still are buddies with their friends from school way back when.
Yeah.
But I think for a whole group to maintain a friendship is a little bit different.
It's pretty rare.
It's pretty special.
I don't I don't have a group from that far back that is still a group. I don't think. Not really. Kind of.
Yeah, you maintain relationships, but you don't have that really close bond. And
where all of them are still.
yes,
Yeah.
and what we've experienced is that as time goes by, that bond gets tighter, right? It doesn't. It hasn't. Nobody's been released from the group, right?
Yeah.
We're all still very, very much entwined in each other's lives.
Oh, that's nice. Mm-hmm. I always really enjoy those friends where, you might not see them for 6 months and then you see them and it's like you just picked up the last conversation you had.
And that's a true friendship, right?
Yeah.
When that happens, because you don't need to be on top of each other all the time. And that's what this group is like.
Oh, that's
we don't
nice.
see each other. We don't even live in the same provinces, right? Like
So everybody's spread out.
we are a little bit spread out.
Okay.
4 of us are in Ontario and 2 are in Alberta.
Okay.
So, we're not all local.
And is anyone still practicing?
1. And
One.
she's
One
gonna,
left.
She's going to retire this year.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. So
Yes.
is there like a big thing planned for this? Or?
Not
No.
from our perspective
Okay.
for her. I mean, hopefully with the employer that she works for, there's something
that makes
planned. We don't really get involved kind of in those kind of things.
Okay.
But it'd be nice when she's retired, because she's the one who limits us as to when we can go away and what we can do, because she has to work at a work schedule, right?
Right.
Once you're retired, you don't have to think about that. You can come and go as you please.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what was I going to ask? So what made you want to do this in the first place?
Nursing or the book?
Either.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Let's go back and then we'll swivel back
Sure.
into the book. What made you just want to go to
Nursing?
school in the first place?
So for me, that was kind of a weird thing. I was not one of those little girls who grew up wanting to be a nurse to take care of people. That wasn't my kind of mindset. When I was getting near the end of high school, I still didn't know what I was going to do, and then, guidance counselors start saying, you need to put in applications for schools and where do you want to go and what do you want to do?
There's so
And
much pressure at that age.
it felt like pressure at that age.
I felt pressure
and
at
I
that
didn't
age.
really know what I wanted to do. And I had a friend who was a year ahead of me and had started nursing school, and she was enjoying that. That seemed to be a good path for her. And I remember talking to a guidance counselor and just saying, I think I want to teach, but I don't want to teach kids. I knew I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be a school teacher. So then I'm thinking, and then I said to her, like, my friend Cindy is a nurse, and she, I find that kind of interesting when I listen to, the things she's learning about. I was always kind of a science and math geek,
That helps.
right? So I was on the right track to do that. And I remember my guidance counselor saying, well, you could do both things. You could become a nurse and then you could teach nursing. And that kind of clicked for me. So that was kind of how I went into it. But then as it turned out, I never taught nursing. That's not where I went, right?
No.
You don't know where your career is going to take you.
But you went many interesting places.
I did. I was always one, Drew, that I truly believe that people just need to go through whatever door opens for them.
I love that.
And you don't know where you're going to go. And it's not always comfortable.
I was going to say it's scary.
It can be very scary.
My whole life, there's these mindsets of these like people who followed one path and just succeeded in it, like professional athletes. And it's like, I watched this movie called Marty Supreme recently.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
I've seen it.
And the line from the movie was like, she's like, oh, what if this doesn't work out? And he's like, well, that doesn't even enter my consciousness.
Right.
And I used to have that mindset about, it's film or nothing.
Right.
That's what I'm going to do. If I fail, I fail. And then I discovered Norfolk County and the people who live here and the landscape. And I'm like, oh, I kind of really like this place, but this doesn't go with the plan.
Right.
So what do?
You adapt.
Yeah, naturally, right?
You change gears.
And you kind of sacrifice like previous mindsets of like, well, this was my plan.
Yes.
And I'm getting back to, take whatever door sort of
Yes,
opens,
absolutely.
Because maybe that's just what's meant to be.
Sure. Right? I mean, that's my mindset in life too.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm not an overly religious person. I'm very agnostic about most things.
Right.
But I don't know. There's something to that.
There's fate. There's fate. Fate exists.
I think so, or something like that. Because I don't know. I now that I'm here and I sort of have this life, and it was never, I thought I was going to live in Toronto or New York City, and
big city.
Yeah, working in the industry, but I wouldn't change a thing.
Well, hindsight is 2020, right?
Like yes.
You can see where you are now, and you can look back and you can say, oh, that's why that twist needed to happen, because without that, I wouldn't have ended up here, which is where I'm meant to be.
When you're in it, though, it's very
Sometimes it's downright awful.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know. You go with it anyways.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. And that was kind of like what my career was like.
Yeah.
Like I came out of school, and at that time it was 1979, 1980. There were no nursing jobs in Ontario. There was a real.
When you say that, like. There wasn't enough?
You couldn't get a job.
Oh, you couldn't get a job.
You couldn't get a job. You couldn't get a job. You could get a part-time job. You could not apply and get a full-time job. Nurses at that time were going to the United States. The United States was recruiting nurses from Canada.
Can you make more money there?
You could make more money, but you could also get a full-time job.
I see.
And they would... they had like packages. So some of my friends did do that. They went to different places, Texas, Florida, Reno, Nevada, like just all sorts of different places that they went because they would pay for them to move there. They would get them set up in housing. They had full-time jobs. They could make money.
I do know Prince Edward Island's like that.
Yeah.
Currently.
Yeah. Because that was what was needed, right?
Yeah.
And we're probably back at that here now too, right? Where we need to recruit. We don't have enough nurses in Ontario.
There's so much I want to dive into right now. My entire family's medical.
Yes.
And I have had my two cousins who are practically sisters to me. We grew up.
I know them. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I had them on, and we were talking. And but you have almost 3 more decades on top of them.
Yeah.
And sort of.
I've seen the cycles.
Yeah, and I would love to get into it later, but like you were involved with even like the regulations.
Oh yes.
And sort of developing like what nursing even is.
Yes. Yeah, that was exciting. That was an exciting opportunity.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, and also you worked in corrections.
I did, which, that always makes people raise their eyebrows and think, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't even know that nurses could work in that environment.
So to go back, so you don't know what you want to do. You think you want to do nursing, but there's no nursing jobs.
So I go into nursing and I graduate and I become a nurse.
Okay.
And then for me, I was already involved with my now husband, Dave, right? We were dating at that point. And so a lot of my friends said, come to Dallas with me. I'm like, no, I don't want to leave.
A little far.
I don't want to leave home. So I just worked part-time jobs, right? Like just picked up part-time jobs wherever I could get them and kind of, did this, did that, kind of balance things. And until I moved, I got a job with a nursing agency. So that is like a company that will find nurses to work in other places. So
just like an actor's agency.
Yeah, kind of, right? So if you're a hospital or a nursing home or even a private patient and you're looking for a nurse to come in to do a shift, to do whatever, then this company would do that. So I did do that for a little while. So that was probably one of the more boring jobs that
Okay.
I had, because it's you're not really committed to anything, right? Like you pop into a nursing home and you do a shift and then you go home.
Right, and you've done all the processes.
You're not
and-
connected to
No.
the staff. You're not connected to the.
It's like a substitute teacher coming in.
Exactly.
All the kids are like, "Who's this?"
Yeah, who is she, right? And how long is she going to be here?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it is exactly like that.
Okay.
But then through that employment, I made a connection with the director of the company that I worked for. And she was the one who asked me to go into the local jail for an interview. So the jail had called the agency to say that we need some staffing support. We want 3 nurses. We need 3 nurses to orientate for this environment. Is that something that you can provide for us? And so Linda said to me, Shirley, do you want to go meet with the healthcare manager at the facility, find out what it's all about, see if it's a good, safe environment for the nurses
you must
to
have
work?
been hesitant.
Right? No.
Really?
No.
Was it? What kind of jail are we?
So it
grown
was
men, women.
It was a detention center that had adult and youth men, male population, no women. It was about a 240 bed facility, and I went and I met with the manager of the healthcare unit. I was fascinated from the moment I walked in. Before that, I had done a lot of industrial. So as part of that other job, I'd done a lot of shifts. I worked at Haysdana and Thorold. I worked at General Motors in St. Catharines. So I'd done a lot of industrial type of nursing.
Okay.
So I was very used to working kind of in that dark, closed industrial kind of concrete block wall.
Right.
All men. Right?
That
kind of, that was very familiar to me. And I had actually, as an industrial nurse, I had started to work on a certificate for emergency because I liked the fast pace. I don't like to be still. I'm a busy person. I like to go. And so industrial nursing was very busy. I mean, you could be dealing with somebody who has a heart attack, and then you could be dealing with someone who's got a metal burn, or you could have somebody who's got something in their eye. Like, it just goes from one thing to the other, right? There's all sorts of things that can happen.
As far as a nurse's perspective goes, very exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Not so good for the patient.
Not good for them. Exciting for you.
But, busy, right? I don't like to sit around and do nothing. So that kind of was good. And so I'd started to explore getting my emergency nursing certificate because I thought, maybe I will go into hospital, right? And work in Emerge. So it kind of was going down that road. I got my certificate. And then I went in and I did this interview. And I was totally fascinated. I was fascinated with the building. I was quite intrigued by the population, right? And I was really impressed with the camaraderie of the staff. So because it's such a different environment, right? The staff were very much like a family. And I grew to understand that better once I was there. So I had that interview with that person. And at the end of it, I said to her, so how many nurses do you think you need from the agency? And she said 3. And I said, well, how about 2 and me? And she said, yep. That'll work.
Nice.
So I got myself a job.
There you go. Look at you go.
But I mean, I also believe, you should always ask for what you want.
For sure. At least give it a shot.
Yeah. What's the worst that's going to happen? Somebody's going to say no.
Yeah. And
right?
if you didn't ask, probably
then it still would have been a no anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So, so I started working at that jail as a registered nurse, and I was there for 16 years. Doing that kind of frontline work.
So you liked it?
I loved it. I always loved it. I liked the population, as much as that sounds crazy when I say that to people. They say, how could you, right? But a lot of people that are incarcerated are, well, first off, they come from horrific backgrounds. A lot of them.
Sadly.
Yeah, very much so, right? So they haven't had a good upbringing. They haven't been loved. They haven't been cared
no fault
for.
Of their own.
No, they've been
raised
raised in neglectful and abusive households.
Yeah.
And so when you understand where they come from, you can really understand how it is that's who they are now, right? How could you be any different if you weren't nurtured like most people are, right? So you get an appreciation for that, but you also you learn to understand that sometimes people just make mistakes that have drastic results. And, if it wasn't for that one decision, they wouldn't be there.
Yeah, it's like drinking and driving. It's like
For sure.
their intention is not to kill.
No.
But at the
end of the day, now you're in jail on a manslaughter charge, right? So there is that. And then too, like you get to kind of understand that these are people who haven't been nurtured as children. Like there's an opportunity to kind of connect with who their inner child was. Right? And to work from that base as opposed to looking at who they are now.
Especially as a nurse, because they probably don't view a guard the same way they view you. You're there to help them.
And there's that too, right?
Guard is there to enforce.
That's right. Yeah. So, and they appreciate that, right? Yeah. That you're not the enforcer. You are the caring individual. You are the person who can help them. And sometimes, I mean, it wasn't always, I don't want to mislead anybody and let them think it was always perfect, because you do run into people who are abusive, right? And sometimes that's short term. So sometimes people come into custody and they're suffering from withdrawal of something, which makes them extremely cranky and nasty, right?
Yeah.
But maybe a week or two later, they come around, they're clean, they're dry, they're in a better headspace. And quite often those people would say, I'm sorry, I was an asshole when I came in, right? So you kind of, but you have to be able to accept people for where they are.
Yeah.
Right? So there's that. And they do appreciate what you do for them. Like they don't have some of the expectations that maybe the general population has, right? Because nobody has cared for them. So when you show any sort of kindness, then
it's wonderful.
It's appreciated.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I always found them to be, that population to be pretty respectful, right? They were respectful in how they spoke to you. They generally, I can remember when I was in my early years, they would call me Miss, right? And then I can remember when that changed to Ma'am. And I thought, oh man, I've been here too long. But you could have fun with them, which sounds really weird, but you could sometimes you could share humor with them. You could have some lighter moments.
Were you given information about individuals? Like, were you aware of why they were in there?
Sometimes. I personally always made a point not to learn that information unless I had to. So sometimes, yes, that information would come to you. Or sometimes it was such a widely known fact, right? It's in the paper. The whole community's talking about it. You can't not know what that person's there for. But for the most part, I tried not to, because, that's a bias I don't need to deal with. If I don't know.
Because that would affect your relationship.
It could. Like you have to be able to understand what your own biases are and to be able to set things aside so that even if you're dealing with, a horrendous serial killer, you have to be able to kind of compartmentalize your approach to things.
How does that work? Because obviously, let's say you're having an interaction and they're extremely polite. You're not going to be rude.
No.
But you know what they've done.
Yes.
Did that ever play on your conscience?
Oh, absolutely, right? Yeah. And that's when you have to really make a concerted effort to make sure that you are being professional and that your own feelings about things are not shining through in the service that you're delivering. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I would struggle with that.
A lot of people would. It's not the right environment for everybody.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. And I also liked the legal side of it, right? Kind of that whole system, right? I have a lot of law enforcement in my family, just like you do, right? And I would, so I could kind of connect with the legal end of things and the process for the legal system. And yeah, it was just kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
Oh, it never.
It never will be.
No.
But it's needed.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some kind of structure.
For sure. For sure.
Best we've got so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
My only experience is just going into when I was in school for policing. We went to a court hearing. And
yes.
It was 2 hitmen.
Oh, interesting.
It was very intense.
Yes.
But besides that, I have no experience with individuals
Right.
like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the sad thing is, in the correctional system, there's a lot of repeat offenders, right?
Yeah.
There's recidivism, right? People who commit crimes over and over again, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of their pattern. And for some people, they're more comfortable in jail than they are out in the community. Like for some people, being released back into the community is a traumatic thing.
It's kind of like Shawshank Redemption, that fellow who got
Yes.
out after 40 years.
Right.
And he was like, I want to be back in.
Right.
Because it's the only thing he's known.
Right. And you don't, right? And that structure, for some people, that structure is good, right? And they know that they're going to get fed. They've got a place to sleep. Like for homeless people, that was quite even way back in the early days of working in corrections, we would have regulars who would commit a crime in the fall so that they would be incarcerated over the winter.
Because winter's rough.
Because winter's rough when you're homeless.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So, I mean, it's sad that you have to have those, that you don't have the right kind of supports in place for, say, homeless people, that doesn't need to happen. But that was the reality that would happen. So in that case, you're dealing with someone, how do you not care about what happens to that individual, right?
Oh, that's so sad.
It is.
That's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's crazy things that happen too, right? And I mean, there's things that I think nurses in general tend to have a dark sense of humor, right?
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
right? And
I think anybody who has seen what you've seen, you need to sort of make light of it.
yes,
Some of the darkest humor are all emergency
yes,
services for the
yes,
most part.
yeah.
my
So,
friends, yeah.
so I mean, that develops too, right? And
Yeah.
you kind of you see that. I can remember one fellow that we had that it was around Christmas time, and back then you could apply for a pass to go home for Christmas, right? If you were like on the low end of
And well-behaved.
offending and well-behaved
Yeah.
and had all these positive things going in your favor, you could maybe get a 2 or 3 day pass to go home for Christmas, right? And I can remember that.
Like just for Christmas?
Yeah, just
Then
for
you gotta
Christmas.
come back.
Then you had to come back and you had to finish your sentence, right?
Are they supervised?
No. So I mean,
Wow.
it was a different time, right? That's not what it is now, but that's what it was like then. But I can remember one particular fellow who was like released on the 24th, like early in the morning on the 24th, and at the end of the day on the 24th, he was back in the admit department because he'd been rearrested. I'm like, what happened? Well, he shoplifted to get presents for his family.
Right intentions, wrong process.
Exactly.
But also, like, where would he have money? He's been in jail.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, that probably wasn't your best decision.
He should have been better at it.
We probably shouldn't laugh about such things, but yeah, it was.
Well, that's pretty minor out of all
It's very
things,
minor, but
like he didn't assault anybody.
there were a lot of very minor things, and there were a lot of opportunities to share laughs with them for sure.
So you're there for 12 years.
I was there for 16.
16
there. And then I took a job at a bigger facility. I don't know if I should name facilities, but I took a job at a facility that had just under 400 beds. Okay. And I took a middle management position. So I took a position that was I wasn't the manager. I was kind of like the assistant manager of the unit. So
is it still very hands-on?
It was more supervisory
Okay.
at that time, so not as much patient contact unless there were problems. Like if it was, if there was an issue, then maybe I would go talk with somebody, but it was not the hands-on thing that I had experienced in the first 16 years. Mm-hmm.
I see. So your whole mindset about the justice system must be so different from every other nurse out there.
And from the public, too.
And the public, like,
yes.
What an interesting...
yes.
Because I talk to a lot of nurses, but, a lot of them are working head and neck or the NICU or this
yes.
and that. And
yes.
That is,
yeah.
You're almost working 2 jobs in 1 job.
Yeah. And it's very much, I think it's a job for people who like psychiatry. Like when I was in training, I loved psychiatry. That was one of my favorite subjects. And so to work in corrections, you are working with a lot of mental illness. Right? Because that's also another area where corrections is a bit of a dumping ground. So people who have mental health issues that are not managed well
yes.
get into issues and then end up in jail, as opposed to ending up in some sort of a healthcare facility that could help them.
And I think a lot with the homeless coming in too, I think that is a huge reason why people are homeless, is because they are mentally ill. They can't maintain it, and job routine, all that
absolutely,
stuff.
Absolutely. So there was that aspect. Like, I like the mental health aspect, and then addictions is the other thing, right? So you deal with, I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, but if I had to guess, I would tell you probably at least 75% of people in jail have an addiction problem, whether that's to alcohol or whether it's to drugs. So that is another huge thing. And dealing with addiction is such a very difficult thing to do in the community, because there just isn't enough out there to help people with that problem.
Yeah, addiction's a weird one, because even if they want to stop, they can't.
No,
in a lot of cases.
And if you don't have support to do that, and it has to be long-term support. So there's a lot of programs that will help people for 30 days, but 30 days isn't enough to rewire your brain.
No.
You need at least 6 months or even up to a year before your brain will be rewired. Otherwise, you're 30 days later, you still come out, you still want to use drugs.
Still looking for
it. Yeah, you're clean and dry. It's really just, it's not really rehab, right? It's just a cleanup program.
Would those things still find their way into the jails? Because I know that's a thing in movies.
Drugs? Oh, for sure they do.
Do you know how it gets in?
Yeah, not in the nicest way. They're smuggled in on the person's body.
Okay, that's kind of where my mind went.
Yeah.
And obviously these guards know that.
Even if you do know it, there isn't anything you can do about it. So you don't have the right to do internal exams on individuals. Even if you are a nurse, you don't have the right to do that unless someone consents. And someone who's smuggling in drugs is not going to consent to that sort of a procedure. So the drugs do come in.
And so would you be dealing with overdose?
Oh, all the time.
In jail?
All the time.
Wow.
All the time. So that is a pretty common thing that you see in jail. Yes. Yeah, we do that for sure.
Because I would see it in the movies and stuff, and I'm like, it can't be that easy to get them in there.
It is. And sometimes it's as simple as having people, people used to throw drugs like over the fence into like the yard where they could be picked up.
I've seen even drones.
And drones are a new thing. Yes. Yeah.
Dropping drugs.
Drone drop. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, then you also have like people who will bring drugs in. Right, which is unfortunate, and it's not common, but I have known of situations where staff have brought drugs in or lawyers have brought drugs in. So that happens. That does happen. So yeah, people have access to drugs.
You feel like they'd make enough money already. But if your client is the head of the mafia and they want a little something, you want to make a quick $1 million.
I think most people are responsible and dedicated to the work they do, but there's always some bad apples in every profession, right?
And they obviously, you only know that because they got caught, clearly.
Yeah,
because why
for
else
sure.
would you know?
For
That's
sure.
crazy.
For sure. But I mean, that's not common.
No.
But it's happened.
But to put all that work in, to become a lawyer, just to lose your license.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, same for somebody, a correctional officer, right? You put years of service in, you've got a pension on the line, and then, you're caught doing something like that and you're done. You're out. You're finished. So, yeah, it's a challenge. And then, of course, having drugs in the institution changes the mood of the institution. So that can make things a little bit unstable, right? If there is a lot of, it's not just individual overdose, but it can be group dynamic.
Have you ever experienced like excited delirium inside of a jail?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh.
For sure.
Superhuman strength.
Yeah. Or even, I remember one time in my first job, I got called to an area because an inmate was having trouble. They couldn't turn their head. There was something, they said, there's something wrong with his neck. And when I got down to the area to see him, his head was so twisted. He was almost looking backwards like an owl. It was and it was in place, like it was fixed in place. He couldn't move. And it was like twisted so dramatically that it must have been horribly painful. And his tongue was protruding from his mouth and he could barely speak. And I'm thinking, what on earth is this, right? So I'm saying to him, so did you take anything, right? And of course, the first answer is no. And I'm thinking, okay, well, this didn't happen because you had spaghetti and meatballs for dinner. So let's talk about what's real here. Like, let's talk about, what you took. And so, he finally did confess that, somebody had brought pills in. So they had all had whatever this was. And, as time went by, other people started to show similar
Same signs.
symptoms, right? So we had to,
As I'm like holding my neck.
yeah, I'm telling you, that neck was so twisted. I can't even.
Was it broken?
No, it wasn't broken. Just, it was in a spasm that wouldn't release, right? And so it was, and as it turned out, they had, they thought they were taking Valium, which, would generally mellow you out.
Yeah.
But what they had actually taken was a drug called Haldol, which is an antipsychotic.
Oh, no.
And one of the side effects of an antipsychotic is exactly the symptoms that we were seeing. So we did have some medications on hand that were like an antidote, like to treat those symptoms. So we were able to give a few of them an injection to reverse those symptoms. But there were so many of them that we ran out, and we ended up having to send them to like the local ER to be treated because we ran out of, we had a few doses on hand.
Yeah, you're not expecting the half
it's
the jail
rare.
to have twisted necks.
It's rare, right, that would happen.
Wow, that's fascinating.
But that guy, he would always bring that up every time he came in after that. He'd say, hey, remember, miss, that time we thought we were having that Valium party? I'm thinking, yeah, I remember that night.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even in that circumstance, it wasn't even intentional. They're just like, oh, it was
Oh, they
fun.
thought, yeah. But I mean, that happens with addiction too, right? People take something that they think is something and it turns out to be something else, or it's laced with something else, right?
Well, that's the issue now with fentanyl, right? They might think
Yes.
they're taking cocaine or whatever,
Yes.
and it's laced with
Yeah, or they might
fentanyl.
think they're just smoking a joint, but it's got fentanyl in it, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, so
Yeah,
I've
it's
heard.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Dangerous stuff.
Concert joints being passed around were much safer probably back in your day than now.
And a lot weaker.
A lot yes, that too.
Yes.
Yes, that
Yeah,
too, because it could have
absolutely.
been grown in someone's
Yes.
attic or something.
Yes. That's right.
Very different now.
It sure is.
Huh.
It sure is. Yeah. So it was always interesting, right?
No kidding.
Working in a jail.
Never boring.
Never boring.
No wonder you didn't leave.
Never boring. Never boring. And I did really get to appreciate that kind of family atmosphere among the staff, because it wasn't just within the nursing unit, it was across the whole institution. So you develop friendships there because you rely on the correctional officers. As a nurse, they are your security.
Yeah,
right?
safety.
So they are always present when you are working with someone. So you get to rely on them. And, everybody has a role in the institution, and everybody works together to, make the day the best that it possibly can be. And so you do develop, like I still have friendships with correctional officers that were part of that facility. Yeah.
You're really selling it.
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if we've made some correctional nurses
Some
with this
nurses
podcast.
want to go that way.
I don't know. Maybe.
It's very different. It's a very different environment. It's not
Never
for
crossed my
everybody.
mind.
No.
I think of different wards in a
Yes.
hospital, but never a whole
I
different...
never would have either. Like if you had have told me when I came out of school that that's where I would have ended up working, I would have said, no, I don't think so.
No way.
That doesn't sound right to me. And it was just a fluke that I ended up there, right?
So you would recommend it, I would say? As an
I
option?
would recommend it to the right people.
To the right.
Yeah.
You definitely have to be the right person.
You do. I think you have to have a pretty sturdy personality. You cannot be the sweet and innocent kind of person that could be manipulated.
Because they'll try.
They will try. Yeah. They most definitely will try. And you also have to have a pretty thick skin, because there will be things that happen or said that you have to be able
Personal
to...
things. they'll attack you.
Yeah,
personally.
they might.
Yeah,
they
if
might.
they're
They
upset.
might. Or they just might be rude, right? So, I mean, if you're the kind of person that would cry if someone told you to F off, then that's not the environment for you, right? It would not do. Or if you're the kind of person who says yes to everything, then that's not the place for you either. But if you have the right personality, it can be a very interesting place to be.
I hear a lot of, my dad's a paramedic, so I hear a lot of stories because he's
probably-
usually first contact.
I might have ran into your dad in the day and not known it.
Probably, yeah. He's been in some jails.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Bringing patients
Yes.
directly there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes they're there before the cops are, and so
Yes.
you have to treat the patient.
Yes.
So you have to
Yes.
subdue them.
Yes. Yes.
Luckily, his partner is a very large man who practices jujitsu and things like that, and
so he can manage himself.
Also, my dad's pretty big. He's
Yes.
like 6'5".
He's not a small guy.
No. But if you were like, that'd be again scary.
Yeah.
A little scary.
Yeah. But I mean, even size, if you're properly trained to work in that environment, you can manage yourself. My sister's a correctional officer. I worked with her in that facility for all that time, and she's tiny. You know, she's shorter than I am. She's probably 60 pounds lighter than I am. Like she's a very petite kind of, but she knows what she's doing when she needs to be doing things. So it all works.
Wow.
Yeah. That was weird. It was weird too. I remember the first day when I started there just shortly before her, but I can remember when she started and her coming into the healthcare unit and saying, "I'm your officer for the day." I'm thinking, you, my sister, you are?
I can take her.
Because I'm thinking.
She younger?
She's younger. She's
Okay.
5 years younger
so
than
there's
me,
also
right?
that younger sister.
That dynamic too, right? Where
I can take you.
well, you couldn't take me when we were little, right? So how are you gonna manage this, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's unfair, right? Because she was trained to do what she did, and she did what she did really well. She had the right personality, She really didn't ever need to get physical with people because she had really good communication skills, right?
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try to avoid it in the first place.
Absolutely, right? De-escalate is like your first point of defense.
The biggest. Yeah, that's what they taught us in school. It's like, we're going to teach you obviously to defend yourself, but this should be last resort.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because
Absolutely.
if you can avoid it, why not?
For sure. For sure. Who would want to get into that if you didn't have
Oh
to?
my gosh, this is crazy. So where did you go from there? You still have quite the background here that we haven't even dove into yet. Before we wrap it up, I just want to say thank you for listening to this episode and to the Just Drew podcast. I really enjoy bringing interesting guests to you, great conversations, and amazing stories from Norfolk and beyond. If you enjoy the show, the best way to support it is to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to it. So that means Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. Every comment, every share, like, subscription really genuinely helps the podcast grow so I can continue to bring you some amazing guests. Anyways, I just want to say thank you and back to the episode.
So a lot of my career was a bit of a crossover because when I went in my second job where I was a nursing assistant, like an assistant manager, at that same time I had become involved with the College of Nurses. So when I was in Niagara, one of my fellow nurses nominated me to be on a committee member for the college. And I'd never thought about doing anything like that. I didn't even really pay much attention to what the college did or, kind of what that involvement looked like. And I remember her saying to me, you've been here a long time and you're pretty smart. You could probably do, this is probably something that would be good for you and good for them. And so, she said, I want to nominate you. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead, fine. And then I was in, right? It just kind of all fell into place. It was something that
A door opened,
right? So it was something that your peers needed to vote you in, right? So there would be a number of people running for this committee position and you needed to be voted in. And there I was, right? Get the, Shirley, you got the most votes, you're in. So I went to the college so you're not employed, by the college.
Okay.
But you sit on committee. Okay. So for 3 years, I was on the complaints committee at the college.
Fun.
So very interesting, right?
Yeah.
So when patients complain about a nurse, that complaint comes to the college, and the college investigates it and reviews it, and a panel makes decisions about what happens next for that nurse. So that was my role for a while.
Was it difficult to know if that patient just didn't like that nurse?
No, I would say no. It was pretty easy to tell if a complaint was really just frivolous or if it was vexatious.
I see.
Right? But then there were also ones that were, really legit, right? Where the nurse, didn't do what they needed to do or didn't behave the way that they needed to behave.
Right.
So I got involved with that. And so I was still working full time. And then I made the switch to Hamilton, and I continued in my 3-year term on the complaints committee. And then the next thing after that was there was an opening on CNO's council. So I ran for that. And the council was, I can't remember how many people drew, but maybe 24 to 30 people on the council. And
big council.
And a mixture of registered nurses, registered practical nurses, nurse practitioners, public members, that all would sit together and make decisions about the nursing profession. And so that I started that was a 3-year term, and meanwhile I'm still working full time.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, of course. I'm still working full time. So
do you have kids at the time?
I did have kids at the time.
How?
And at the same time, I told you I like to be busy. At the same time, I was working on my nursing degree, because when I went to school, I went to a college program, and then the requirement for practice changed to university level, and I didn't want to be the nurse that didn't have the same education as the new nurses.
Could you still keep your position without having that, or did you have to go back to school?
I didn't have to go back to
I
school.
See, but you
no,
wanted to.
I chose to. Yeah, and so those were busy. Those were busy times.
No kidding.
But I was very fortunate in that my full-time employer allowed me time off to do what I needed to do with the college. I would not have been able to do it otherwise. So they always allowed me to take a leave of absence on days that I needed to be doing things at the college. So that allowed me not to use up all my vacation time, because that would have been brutal. If I used all I would have never had any vacation. I would have just been constantly doing one thing or the other, right? Yeah. So they were very good that way. They allowed me whatever time off I wanted on a leave of absence that didn't affect my seniority or my pension or my benefits or anything, right? It was just a nice, time off. And so I did 3 years on council. I was a committee chair for the first year. I was the vice president in the second year, and then in my final year, I was the president of the College of Nurses. So that was, again, something I never would have thought I would have ever done in my life.
Right?
Right?
It sounds cool. Like, did you meet at night with the cloaks on your head? And
No.
Okay, just wondering.
No, that's traitors.
Right, that's traitors. Okay, so not like that.
No, not like that.
You have been voted off.
You are no longer a nurse.
You are no longer a nurse.
No.
Okay, all right.
No,
all right.
but I mean, that was a great experience, because it was a very professional environment, which was good for me, because working in corrections, you can slide away from that, because you're not working in a healthcare facility and you're not reporting to healthcare people.
Right.
So you're really, when you work in corrections, it's really about you having to maintain yourself, your own professional status, right? So I think it's easy to kind of slide a little bit away from that. So it was good for me to kind of get into this super ultra professional environment and work with really wonderful people. And then as a council member, that's where really big decisions were made. So, there were a lot of, there's legislation out there that has my signature on it, because
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool, right? Because there were things that changed. You try to make changes. Nursing is a self-regulated profession. So it's not like, in the United States, every state manages their nursing profession. They have like a board, right? And it's the state that controls what the standards of practice are, or what the educational requirements are. But in Ontario, it's nurses decide what those things are.
I like that.
It's self-regulated,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's one of the reasons why nurses are so well regarded, right? We really have a high level of what's the word I'm looking for? Confidence from the public, right? That people trust. People trust nurses. And I think there's a reason for that.
Well, and also, if you're going to make a regulation about nursing, should it not be done by the people who
Do
it?
the work. Yes. Who understand it.
Yeah.
Right? And know what the need is, right?
That makes sense.
Sure. And I mean, some of that is like forward thinking too, like not just what do we need now, what are we going to need 10 years from now, right? Because when I was there, nurse practitioners, they existed. They've existed for a long time, but they weren't what they are now, right?
Because they're practically doctors.
Yeah. But there's lots of them. There used to be, I think when I was at the college, there might have been 100 nurse practitioners. Like there were not very many. Now there's thousands, right? Yeah. But one of the barriers for them was they couldn't move between provinces. So if a nurse practitioner in BC wanted to come practice in Ontario, they couldn't automatically do that. They had to go through the registration process in Ontario. Okay. And we think, okay, well, that's kind of crazy. Like we're all Canadian trained. Like our education is similar across the provinces. There's really not a lot of difference, right? So why do we put that barrier up that nurse can't come here and just get registered and start working, right? So that was, one of the things that changed while I was there.
Nice.
The educational requirement changed while I was there. That's when we decided that it would become a university-based thing because the knowledge that you need as a nurse is so much more than what it was when I became a nurse. When I became a nurse, it was very task-oriented job.
I see.
It was about giving baths and making beds and taking temperatures and blood pressures and doing what a doctor told you, right?
Now you're administering drugs.
Now, yes. Yeah. It's a lot of, and that again is another one of the things that I liked about corrections. Corrections is a pretty autonomous practice. You did not need to call the doctor for every little thing that you need. If somebody came to you and said, I have a headache, I could say, here's a Tylenol. Let me know if that helps.
Yeah, you have to sign this form and do all this.
If I was in the hospital, I have to call the doctor to give somebody a Tylenol. I'm thinking, that's crazy.
I understand why there's regulations, but some need to be corrected.
It's not always common sense.
Yeah,
right?
or maybe it made sense back then, but maybe not now.
Right.
But it's still
right.
in place.
Right. And that's key too, right? You got to keep up with the times.
For sure.
You have to change as the times change.
And so you did that this board you were on for how many years?
Well, I was with the college for 6.
6.
6 in total.
Okay.
6 in total.
And it's voluntary, you said.
It's voluntary. They pay you a stipend.
I see.
So if you have to go to Toronto for the day,
They don't want you to
spend out of your money, right?
Okay.
So they would pay for hotel accommodation and your meals, and they would give you a stipend for the day. But I mean, the stipend was nowhere near what you would have made that day had you worked as a nurse.
And like, so to pay for that stipend, is it governmental money? How does this body work?
It's membership. So
Membership,
every nurse in the province has to be a member of the College of Nurses. That's who gives you your registration. So when you come to school, you're a nurse or you're a practical nurse, and then you have to write exams to become registered. Right? So there's a difference between what you are when you get out of school and what you are after you're registered with the college. So once you're a registered nurse or an RPN or an NP, you have to pay annual fees to the college to maintain your membership. Okay. And that is the money that drives that whole organization. It's not an arm of the government.
Okay.
It's independent.
And it's not is there also a union?
Yes, there are unions, but it's not the same
Separate.
thing.
Okay.
So there's kind of 3 different bodies in nursing that people confuse. So one is union, right? There is a major nursing union in the province. And there also is a nursing association. So there's a group called the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario, and it is the lobbying arm of nursing. So nurses belong to RNAO because they want to have a voice in nursing.
Okay, so they're representing them in
general. Yes, and then there's the college, which is the regulatory body that governs nurses.
So you have a protecting body, a representational body, and then a regulatory body.
Yes.
Ah,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know.
There you go.
Didn't know. Didn't come up with my last podcast. That's all right. We talked a lot about COVID. It was like they came on pretty early on the podcast.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Those were horrible times for nurses.
Yeah. You dodged that one.
I missed it. I retired 1 year prior to that happening. And I kept my registration for the first year because I thought, oh, maybe I'll go back. At the same time, I was starting my officiating practice.
Right.
And I thought, well, if this doesn't work out, maybe I will pick up a couple shifts, right, as a nurse. And then after my first year of officiating, I thought, no, I'm never going to be a nurse again.
You don't get that itch anymore?
No. I loved what I did, but I'm happy not to do it anymore. And so after that first year, I let my registration go. So now technically I can't call myself a nurse. I'm not a nurse. I'm not registered with the college anymore.
Right.
And when COVID hit, I did get a few phone calls from a few different people saying, we need help. Can you come help us? And I was like, I'm not registered anymore. So it was like, I didn't even have to think about it, right? It was
give me some cash. I'll be there in an hour.
It was an automatic. It was an automatic no. But it felt terrible, right? Because they really needed so much help, right? But I wasn't in a position to do that at that point.
I couldn't even imagine.
No, horrible. I mean, I have lots of friends who were still working at that time, and just terrible circumstances.
And even before we even knew really what it was, just having that fear of I could get it. I'm the first person to be in contact with all these people who do have it.
Yeah, it was scary. It was scary, right? And a lot of people were dying so quickly and so fast initially. Yeah. Right? Before they started vaccination, then there were a lot of deaths. Difficult.
So obviously you had a long career in nursing. What are some major things you've sort of seen improve or change? Is it more difficult to be a nurse than back in the day? Is it worse? Is it better?
Oh, it's different.
It's different.
It's different. It's hard for me to say whether it's better or worse. Sometimes I wonder why new people do go into nursing because it's so difficult now. There's not enough staff working anymore.
Why do you think that is?
Because the government hasn't invested money in that. Plain and simple. It costs money to have more nurses, and they don't spend the money there. You really need, I think if you looked across Canada, Ontario probably has one of the worst nurse-patient ratios.
This is the number one thing I speak to of people who are nurses. They say, I'm taking care of way too many patients.
Right.
It's legally allowed.
Right.
But who else is going to do it?
Right. And technically there's no legal limit. Right? I mean, so you get, I think it's really tough to be a nurse this day because you could have more patients than you can care for, or that you can care for well. And then it becomes a moral dilemma for the nurse, right? Because now you're working extra hard. You're not seeing good outcomes because you can't be everything to everybody. And so I think nurses suffer from that, right? That takes an emotional toll on you.
Yeah, because the whole reason is because they want to help.
They care, and they want to make a difference.
Yeah.
And so when you can't make a difference or you don't have time to care, then there's some very negative things, right? That's what I think leads to burnout, right? And nurses leaving the profession. Yeah. So I mean, it's way more difficult but the whole system has changed. So when I look back to when I first started, for instance, if someone went into the hospital because they had their gallbladder out, so they go in for surgery, they would be admitted the day before and prepped for the surgery. And then after the surgery, they would be in the hospital for 7 days to recover. Right. They would be fully recovered. They'd have their sutures out and their bandages off before they ever went home. And that's not the case now. Now we do day surgery. So you come in the morning, right? You go in, you have your surgery, you go into recovery for an hour or two, you come out into a day bed for a couple of hours, and then you go home. So now what you have in the hospital, we used to have this balance of patient load. So if you were working on a surgical unit, maybe you had one person who had surgery that day, and maybe you had an admission who was going to have surgery the next day. Okay. And then maybe you had 3 patients who had surgery 2, 3, or 4 days ago. So the amount of care that each of those people needs is very different based on where they are in that spectrum, right? Now, everybody who's in the hospital needs lots of care, because if they don't need lots of care, they get sent home.
They're out.
They're at home.
Right.
So now it's not that you have 5 patients that need varying levels of care. You have 5 patients who all need a great degree of care, right? The acuity of the patient's condition has gone up. And on top of that, if you had 5, that would be great, because maybe you have 9, or maybe you have 10, or maybe you're the only nurse on the floor. Like,
How
who
much
knows?
is too many?
It depends, right? On what you're dealing with, what kind of floor you're on.
Right.
But I mean, imagine on a labor and delivery floor, what that could look like if you don't have enough nurses.
2 of the sisters, they work NICU together.
Right.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah. So I'm sure you hear all sorts of stories,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard I think nurses are better educated now, and the system is better. Like in my early days, I dealt with a lot of gender inequity kind of stuff, right? Nurses were subservient to doctors. Doctors were the be all end all. You did what you were told, right? Even to the point where when I first started, there was an expectation. If I was sitting writing a chart and a doctor came in, there was an expectation that I would stand up and I would offer him my chair, right? So
Like royalty.
yeah, exactly, right? But that was the power dynamic that what we dealt with. And nurses didn't make decisions. Doctors made decisions. Nurses did tasks. And now nurses make decisions.
Well, they're
educated
you also
to make.
know that patient way better than the doctor
Well,
does.
sometimes you do.
Yeah, 'cause
Sometimes
you're with
you
them every
do.
day.
Yeah. But they didn't always. And you would have to play like almost this manipulative game back then, where you would make the doctor think that what you thought the solution to the problem was. You would make the doctor think that was his thought, not yours.
Right.
So that you could kind of get the outcome that you wanted for that patient, which really is a manipulative kind of thing, but we did it all the time.
That's what's required, then so be it.
Got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
To get what you need. So it's very different for new nurses. Like, they have a greater degree of education, but they also have really difficult work environments to work in. So I don't know if we're going to see nurses who've been in the business for 40 years anymore.
That's so sad.
Right? Because you might see people who work for 10 years or 20 years and then
Burn
say,
out.
I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. There's other things to do. Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of them were saying that during COVID, but then, yeah.
Yeah. It's tough, right? It's really difficult, I think, as a nurse to be in a position where you can't do what you know you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Where you just physically can't do it because there's just one of you.
I'll tell you what, I cannot do that job.
Well, a lot of people can't, right?
No,
there's
no.
a lot of different kind of.
I have had one stint in the hospital, and the nurses were amazing.
Yes.
And I was thinking the whole time, how do they do this?
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to take care of me right now. But they are, so.
Yeah.
And they were so nice.
Yes.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah. I've had good experiences too in the hospital. And it's funny because I hear so many people say that as a patient that the experience is not good anymore because of circumstances. But I haven't seen that myself. Whenever I've needed care or my husband's needed care, we've always seen excellent care.
Yeah.
I have no reason to complain.
At least personally, yeah.
Yes.
I don't spend a lot of time in the hospital.
Right,
Luckily, but
right.
like even my the one sister had a kid. I won't like specify whatever hospital it was, but she was like, because she's like, well, they haven't checked my like they're supposed to be checking this. They haven't done this. They haven't done this. They haven't done this. She didn't tell them that she was a nurse. And,
I don't either.
And she teaches as well.
Right.
And so I don't know. That might have been a younger, maybe a newer nurse. And
yeah. That's funny, because some nurses will automatically tell them that they are. I don't. I want to be treated like the patient. Yes. I don't want them to assume that I know something because I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what they know. I don't do that kind of nursing.
That's right.
Right? So I want them to treat me like a patient. And if they know you're a nurse, they will treat you differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
The only exception to that is I always tease my husband that if I'm ever like in the hospital and things aren't going well, I want you to tell them that I'm a past president of the College of Nurses. I want them to know that they need to step up.
When it suits, yeah. I mean, there are some perks involved, and like broken my arm before, and my dad will be like, "Oh, who's in this day?" And
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
Nothing illegal or anything like that, but
No.
it's just like, hey, like let's take him to somebody like I get along with, or something like that. You know what I mean?
Or let's pick this hospital rather than that one.
Yeah, or he'll call like, hey, how busy is it there? And like, oh,
Right.
it's packed. Okay, let's go to this one.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's not playing the system. That's just
no,
good
I don't
sense.
think so.
It's just good sense.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Wow. So you've had quite the career
Yes.
in nursing.
Yes.
And then to top it off, because you are very busy,
Yes.
you decided to write a novel.
Yes. So that wasn't my decision.
Like that wasn't enough.
Well, it started with there's 6 of us that
Right.
are all still very connected from school, and we go away every year. So we have a little reunion every single year. So we used to meet for weekends when we were working. Now that most of us are retired, we go away. We do a full week somewhere.
Nice.
So we were, I think it was 2024. We rented a cottage at Turkey Point. They all wanted to come because we talk every year. Where are we going next year? They're like, oh, Shirley, we want to see Norfolk County. We want to see where you live. I'm like, okay, fine. So we rented a cottage at Turkey Point. We came here for the week. So of course we did all the wineries and all the local stuff,
Yeah.
and it was great. It was a great week with them. But so my friend Ruth, we were doing our little coffee clutch in the morning and chatting, and of course we all get telling stories, right? Remember when and then, we laugh until we practically pee our pants. But so Ruth said, we should write a book. And then we just laugh harder, right? Like, really? Like, what would we write a book about? Right? And she said, well, we have such great stories. And I'm like, yeah, we think they're funny, but would anybody else think that they're funny? Maybe not,
Never
right?
know.
And, and then there were jokes about how old we were and would we even remember some of those stories? Like, could we remember stuff? Would we remember enough to kind of make a book? So we just kind of laughed it off. And the following winter, she called me and she said, I was really kind of serious about doing that, right? And I said, okay, well, what would that look like, right? So she and I went out for supper and we had a conversation about what we thought the book could be. And then we kind of sketched out some questions that would inform the content for the book. And then we put it out to the other gals and said, would you guys be interested in doing this? And there were actually 7 of us. There's actually 7 of us. One of them said, no, count me out. The other 6 said, I'm in. So then we were committed, right? So we didn't really know what it was going to look like or where it was going to go when we started. But
Yeah, because are these more friendship stories, or is this related to nursing?
It's both.
Both.
So what we decided was the first part of the book would be about our nursing education. So it was 1977 and 1979. So that spread of time, what our education was like, how our friendship developed, what our experiences were in residence,
Right.
and kind of some of the social things. And yeah, so it kind of covers from, when we first met each other in residence to day of graduation. That's like part 1 of the book.
Okay.
And I hope it's interesting to people. We've had some alpha readers look at it to say, because I certainly don't want to publish something that somebody goes, no, right? So we did send it out to a few different kind of people and said, what do you think about this? And they've said, oh, I think it's interesting. I think it's funny. And I'm thinking, okay, we're on the right track, right? And so that's kind of the first part. And then the second part is individual stories. So it is, it's Shirley's story and it's Cheryl's story and it's Cynthia's story. So it kind of covers what happened after graduation and what did your nursing career look like and how did that mesh with your personal life. So it's, a little combination of that. Mm-hmm. And then the final part 3 of the book, is about friendship. So it's a little bit about, it starts with how things have changed, because things have changed so drastically. I mean, there was nothing digital, right? There was
Everything would have been analog.
mercury thermometers. Yeah. People needed oxygen. You had to drag a tank in from a storeroom. There was no oxygen in the wall. There was no There was no disposable dressings. Everything had to go through an autoclave. We had to clean and boil and do all sorts of crazy things. So yeah, very different kind of work environment. And so how have things changed, right? And things really have changed drastically. And then how did our relationship continue through all those years? And then we talk a lot about our different trips and our experiences, and all the kind of things that have bonded us over the years. So I think it would be a book that maybe would be of interest to people who are nurses, people who are nurses from my era, who would be able to relate to that same type of experience, right? But also maybe new nurses who would think, oh, crap. What the heck?
What was it like? What am I getting into?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
How
right.
How do I balance my life?
Yeah. But I think it also will appeal to anybody who has had lifelong friendships, right? Because it really speaks to that. So we really weren't sure when we started. We said, well, we'll just start and see what it looks like. And, you know, I did a little bit of research because I've never written a book. Like, I don't know what that looks like. So it was like, you know, how many words do you need for it to be a book? Like what
how do you structure
how do you go from novella or short story to a novel, right?
Yeah.
So what I learned was 50,000 words is kind of the bare minimum that you need for a book. So as we were writing, it was like, oh, well, you know, we got 20, we got 30, we got 50, we got 70, we got 80. It was like, oh, okay, we got a book. We have a whole book here.
Yeah.
So so it's done. The manuscript is done. We're now in the stage of kind of coming forward with some ideas about cover, like what that, you know, kind of like a mood board, storyboard for the cover.
Right. Now you're into the marketing phase of it.
Yeah. And we're speaking with publishers. We haven't made a decision yet as to who's going to publish, but we've got 2 publishers that we're speaking with.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been
nice.
Yeah.
I've had one author on here.
Yes.
This book here, The Atlantean Chronicles, Nick, and he was speaking to me about different publishing structures and how it works.
Yes.
And he's with I can't even explain it, it's very different where they kind of own it but don't own it, and I don't know. I didn't. So it was a while ago. I have to re-listen to the podcast, but it was interesting. Yeah. Because he just wrote it by himself, and you know he's not. Yeah. You got to be careful, obviously, because publishers want to make money.
Yes. So. Well, there are different ways. We're looking at we're looking at what they think they call an indie publisher. So not self-publishing, because I don't have the time or energy to figure all that out, because I don't know anything about publishing. But there are companies that will guide you through that self-publishing process and offer services to help you with that all the way along. So that's what we're looking at. We're not looking to shop our story out to a big publishing company, because then you got to get a literary agent, and there's lots of other things, right, that we don't want to go there. We wanted to have fun, right? We just wanted to have fun, put our memories down in
So
ink.
Does the one friend sort of regret it now, or
no?
Okay.
It was a good decision for her.
Their circumstance,
She just said, you know, I'll be happy to read it. I'm looking forward to seeing what it has to say. It was hard to write it without her, because she's very integral to the group.
For sure.
So we would write a portion of something, and then we would go back and we would just omit the parts where we mentioned her.
I see.
Right?
I
so
see.
that we kind of took that out, but because she's been there from the beginning, so it's kind of hard to work that out without her.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was a fun process.
Right.
Yeah. I love to work. The one thing we didn't talk about as far as my career goes, I did work at the Ministry of Health at one point.
Yes.
Where I really developed a love of writing. And I didn't know until I had that job that I liked to write. And doing that kind of brought that out in me. And then officiating, the writing, is my favorite part of the job.
Okay.
Which most people would say, oh, it must be like when you actually get to deliver. And I love to deliver a ceremony, but the writing is my most favorite part. Like when I can create that thing that I think is perfect for that couple, that's the favorite part. And so when it came to doing the book, it's very much, you know, just putting your stories into words. And so it was great, right?
Yeah. What so how did you get started? I know you met with was it one of them?
Yes.
Over coffee, and like, how do we do this?
But we created a list of questions. So
Okay.
I think we created like a list of maybe 30 questions to get started.
Okay.
And then we went back to the others and we said, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to send you a question every week and you send me your answer. So maybe that first question was, what do you remember about the first day of school?
I see.
And then you'd get 6 different responses to what people remembered. Or do you remember, are there any particular pranks that you remember? Because there was plenty of those in residence.
And would you sort of write in the perspective of any individual, or was it sort of like an overarching?
Kind of an overarching.
Okay.
So like part 1 and part 3 are kind of written from the joint voice of all of us.
Okay.
Whereas the middle part is written in the first person. Like
Okay.
each person is
Oh, that
telling
sounds
their own
interesting.
story.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And so then you dive into each individual, sort
Yes.
of their perspective on it.
Yes. Yeah. And we all had very different careers.
Yeah.
Like one was a researcher, one was ICU nurse, one worked surgical, another one worked community. Like we all did very different things. We didn't do the same kind of things.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for you. When does it come out?
Well, that's a good question.
Okay, so it's
probably,
sort of-
I would say probably early next year.
Okay.
I'm
All right, so
I'm
still a
told that
ways.
where we are now, the timeline is anywhere from 4 to 12 months.
Okay.
So it could be out by the fall, but
Okay.
maybe not until.
Just wondering. I have a
Later in the
feeling
year.
I'm going to get a bunch of DMs being like, how do I get this book?
Yeah. Well, our plan is to have it like up for sale online, right? So you'll be able to
Yeah.
go to Amazon or Chapters or
Okay.
Indigo or any of those places and order it online. That'll be part of the distribution
My
process.
next question,
Yes.
audiobook?
Audiobook? I don't know. Audiobooks are expensive to make.
What if you did it yourself?
If I did it myself, I don't know if I have the voice to do that.
You for sure do.
Do you think I do?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I'm not an audiobook fan, so it doesn't
Okay.
really occur to me. When I listen to an audiobook, it puts me to sleep.
Really?
Always. It's like a bedtime story for me. It doesn't matter how good it is.
Ashley will listen to it when she works out
Right.
and driving.
Right.
Loves audiobooks.
Yeah. My sister too. My sister is like, she gets in the car and she said that to me one time because I said to her, I can't read them. I fall asleep. And she said, oh, well, like, listen when you're driving, I'm like, do you want me to go to sleep while I'm driving? Because I don't think that's safe. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I love podcasts, but it's pretty similar to an audiobook. It's someone
yeah, but it's
talking.
shorter too, right? Like a podcast is
An hour and a
yes,
half, roughly.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 It would be cool.
Yep.
I do have 4
Might be.
microphones here.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I'm
Never
not
know.
saying no. I'm
All
not
right.
saying no.
Okay.
Might be a door that opens,
I would
right?
I would listen to it.
Yeah.
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 Very,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
nice. Before we wrap it up, do we want to touch on the Ministry of Health at all?
Sure.
What is that?
Well, so I worked, the Ministry of Health is one of the branches of the government.
Yes.
And that's another job I just kind of fell into. I was, when I was at the College of Nurses, when I was the president, I was part of what's called a joint provincial nursing committee. So it's a big committee that is all the nursing leaders in the province. So all the very, very upper echelon of nursing is there.
Okay.
So the president of the union, the president of the lobbying body, the president of the college, all of the deans of nursing from the universities, just all the really big leaders. And so that was really about setting strategic direction and providing, guidance and advice to the government on the direction for nursing in the province.
Okay.
And so one of the people on that committee, one of the chairs was actually the provincial chief nursing officer in Ontario. So I got to know her. And as my term as the president came to an end, so too was my seat on this committee. And I said to her, Vanessa, she said, Shirley, what are you going to do? Like when this, because she knew, right? I need to do. And she said, what are you going to do when this is done? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I think I'm going to be bored. So I said to her, if there's something, if you see of anything, if you hear of anything that you think would be good for me or vice versa, like, let me know. And that was like in June. And she called me in July and she said, how would you like to come to the Ministry of Health and work as a nursing policy advisor? I'm like, I don't know anything about that. right?
Yeah, what does that mean?
I don't even know. I don't know what that job is. I don't know what that means. And I said to her, like, as a job? And she said, yeah, because I thought I was asking, when I talked to her, I thought it was like going to be like a part-time committee kind of commitment, right?
Yeah.
She's got a whole full-time job for me. And she said, I have space on my team because somebody's off sick or mat leave or whatever it was. And she said, I think you'd be a good fit. I'm like, okay. Let me think about this. She said, well, come to Toronto and I'll introduce you to the manager of the department. You can talk about what the job looks like. And she said, you'll have to talk to your boss too, right? So I had to go to my boss, the superintendent of the jail, and say, I have this opportunity. Do you think I can take a leave of absence and go? And that was one of the beauties of working. So when I worked in corrections, that you work for the province of Ontario.
Right.
And so they would allow you to take a leave of absence to do a secondment somewhere else. You could go try a job somewhere else without losing your seniority or affecting your benefit or your pensions. It's great. Yeah. It's wonderful, right? It's one of the benefits. It was one of the big benefits of doing things. So I went to my superintendent and I said, so I have this opportunity. Do you think that's something that you would approve if I took a leave of absence? And he said, like, for how long? I said, she says 9 months. Right. So he's like, yeah, sure, we can do that. Right. He said, sounds like a great opportunity for you. I'm like, I think it is. Right. So I did go to Toronto. Actually, Dave and I moved to Toronto. Wow. So that I wouldn't have to commute. And so that job was really about there was like a little variety of things. So one, if the Minister of Health had to speak about something nursing, those speeches always came to us for contribution. So I had an opportunity to work on some of that. There was always questions when the House is sitting. So when the legislation is sitting and they have like their screaming debates and discussion, you know how you see them on TV and they're all yakking at each other in there. If there were questions, if somebody from the opposition would say, well, how many nursing positions have you created? Like, it doesn't look like you're doing anything for nursing. So we would get a text.
Actually.
Yeah, we would get a text, right? We would get a text, right, from the minister's office and say, so since whatever, how many positions have been created? And we'd like, and so that they could give back the correct answer, right, based on the data that we had. But we also created we had projects, so we created strategies and things that would contribute to recruitment and retention of nurses in the province. Okay. So that was wonderful. Like, I had an opportunity to work on some things from right from the ground up. One of the programs that I worked on from the very beginning is still in existence, so that feels good to me to know.
Can I ask?
Yeah, you can ask. So it's a program for internationally educated nurses. So anybody who's educated outside of Canada, when they come to Canada and they want to be a nurse, they would have to go back to school, take the nursing program, write the exam, become a nurse. So they would start at ground zero, just like a new grad out of high school.
Okay.
But we know that some people who come from some countries have good experience and they have knowledge, right? They shouldn't need to start. That was the premise. They shouldn't need to start at ground zero.
Should be pretty similar.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of them where it's very similar, right? I mean, we all take care of somebody with an appendectomy the same way. It doesn't matter what country you're in, right? So like the science is the same, no matter where you are. So what we created was a program that would assess internationally educated nurses, both their knowledge base, so there would be like a written exam, knowledge-based exam, but also there would be hands-on, so that we could see what their skill level was.
Because if they're doing most things the same way, why make them
go through 4 years of university?
Seems crazy.
Right? Because you need to get nurses into the workforce. That's the whole point of having these programs. Yeah. We need more nurses. We need to get them into the system quicker. So waiting for them to graduate school 4 years later is not very sufficient, right? So this program would do that kind of assessment, and then it would give them the information that they needed this is what you need to work on. These are the areas that you need to work on.
Now, would you also develop the assessment?
No.
that's
I
a
left
different-
that up to experts.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Okay.
But I mean, even the physical assessment part, like that was going to be done with actors. So as part of
As real as it can be.
as real as it could be.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So they were going to, we were going to have kids, and I don't know if that's how they still do it, but we were going to have kids come from the drama program at U of T. And, your job today is to be this patient who's got, left side quadrant pain, like whatever, right? So that you could see when that nurse walks in, what does their physical assessment look like. So that program is still running.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Nice.
It's very cool. It makes me very happy
Yeah,
to know
some great
that
contributions.
something I did, has survived and lasted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was great. That was a great opportunity. I never expected that. I ended up being there almost 3 years. So after 9 months, they said, we'd really like you to stay. And so I'm back to the superintendent. Can I stay another 9 months? And then it got to the point where he's like, Shirley, you got to make a decision.
Yeah.
You're either coming
You
back
stay,
or you're staying or you're coming back. We can't hold your job open forever, right? But it was good. And like I said to Vanessa when she first made that offer, right? I said to her, I don't know anything about policy work or being an analyst, right? Most of the people who worked in that area, they were like poli-sci grads from university, right? They had a very different background than I did. And her answer to me was, you understand nursing, and this is a nursing department, and we need people who understand nursing. And she said, you're very smart. You will figure out the rest of it. So it was a bit of a learning curve.
Nice.
It was
no kidding.
But I did figure it out, and I did well there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then did you retire from that position?
No.
No.
So I ended up going back to my correctional nursing position when I finished that secondment. And then when I was 3 years away from retiring, someone I knew in the business called me and said they were going to be retiring themselves from a healthcare manager position in Simcoe. And she said, Shirley, you would be good for this job. You should think about applying for this job. And I'm like, I like to be busy. And I know that's a pretty small facility, right? I don't know how busy I could. So anyways, I went home and I talked to Dave and he said, put your hat in the ring, right? See what happens. So I threw in my application. And of course, then the next thing is, okay, well, come for an interview. I'm like, now I got to go for an interview. Well, go, right? You don't have to say yes to the job, right? No, I go for the interview and then there's a job offer, right? And then go, okay, now we have to decide, what are we doing?
Yeah.
That's how I ended up in Norfolk.
Really?
Because originally I'm from Niagara region.
Okay.
That's where I grew up. That's where we raised our kids. So yeah, coming to Norfolk, that was 2015 that I came to Norfolk. And
Really?
Yep. And I came here. I took
It's about the time
here.
I came.
Okay.
Yep.
Could have been on the same train.
Could have. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, it was great. That was a nice segue to retirement because it was a slower pace of work. And I walked into a unit that had a really wonderful nursing staff, a very cohesive, very caring, very, just like the perfect team, right?
One of the sisters did a placement there.
Oh, yeah?
And they said it was amazing.
Oh, yeah. They were lovely.
They really loved it there.
And it was a very different kind of facility. I'd always worked in adult facilities, and this was a youth facility, so very different ministry, but very good experience. So, yeah, it was a great way to... And our intention was always to go back to Niagara region when I retired.
Same.
And then we fell in love with Norfolk County.
Something about here.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's like a spell.
Yeah, something in the water.
Something in the water, maybe.
Yeah, because we're like, why would we leave? Why would we leave, And our kids were not there anymore either, right? It wasn't that we were going back. Right, because they're kind of spread out too. We're kind of in between them. So, we just stayed.
Wow.
Yeah.
It makes two of us.
Yeah.
We were just looking for something, right? We had a more open mind and we were like, this seems fun, but we're not going to stay.
Right. No. And then once I kind of got established like as an officiant, because I started my officiant career like in Niagara and I did weddings there. And then I came here and I was like, okay, what do I do? Right. And I remember going out and talking to Michelle at Cranberry Creek, and they were in their early stages too. They'd been operating for a few years at that point, but just going out and talking to her and just kind of making those connections with venues. Right. And then, once I did a few there, then it was like, okay, now the venues are recommending me.
There's a camaraderie here that I like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a very considerate place to live.
Everybody wants you to do well.
Yes.
Even if you're in a way our competition,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody wants the best.
It's lovely. And it has such an old like a small town kind of feel
Yes.
to it, which is lovely. Like some of the things that happen here, you would never see happen in a city.
No.
Ever.
No. I talk about this a lot on the podcast. It's it's growing. The area is growing. And
Yes.
at what point does it get too big to the point where you lose that?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it is definitely have to do with population
Yeah.
size, I think.
Yeah, it just, and the mindset, right? The trusting mindset of people. I know last year we were painting, Dave was painting, we ran out of paint, and I said, well, run into Simcoe and get some paint. So he comes home, he's got paint, and he said, I got to go back later. I said, for what? He said, well, their debit machine was down when I was there, and I didn't have any cash. So they made the paint for me, and I brought the paint home, but I have to go back. She's going to call me when the debit machine's up so that I could pay for it.
That would never happen in the city.
Never
happen.
in a million years. No. But that's kind of the way things are here, right?
I love it.
They're so sweet and they're so trusting, right?
Yeah. I
absolutely.
even because I've been doing this for 2 years now, I'm starting to run into people I don't know, and they're like, "Hey, I love this guest. Like, I loved what you talked about here," and I'm like, "This is crazy.
Cool.
This is crazy."
Yes.
Smaller town, you're more likely to run into people that listen to it.
Yes. Yeah.
But I love it here.
Yeah, me too.
I really
me
do.
Too. Me too. We have this constant conversation at home, right? Are we staying? Are we going? I don't know. We're in Niagara a lot because that's where our family and our base group of friends are. But we like it here.
Yeah.
We like it here.
Same for me. Hamilton, we go back.
Yes.
Visit family.
Yes.
We have groups of friends there still.
Yeah.
But
no big desire to move back there though, right?
no, which is so weird to me because I'm at least before moving here, I'm a city kid.
Yes.
I love the city. I love the proximity of everything. I can walk to anything I want to walk to.
Yes.
I grew up in an era where like street hockey was a big thing. And
right.
You'd play with all the neighborhood kids.
Car.
Car. It's not a thing here. So I was like, there's
Tractor.
no way. And my grandfather passed and the house was up and they said, well, we're either going to rent it or we're going to move into it. Oh. And me and my brother were like 12, 13 at the time. We're like, no way. No way we're leaving our friends here to go out and live on like a farm, had a lot of property.
Right.
And so they didn't.
Right.
And it would have been nice now.
Right.
Yep. But it's pretty ironic because my mom grew up here and then now we did a switch.
She grew up here in Norfolk County?
Yeah.
In Simcoe?
Yeah.
Really?
So my mom's whole side's, I have family over here.
Family here too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of nice. That's kind of nice.
So, so all of them are out here. So I grew up coming here for like the fair and all sorts of events and things like that. So I was familiar with it, but not, I don't know. It's different. It's different, like experiencing it as an adult.
Yeah. I wasn't familiar with it at all. Like
Most people don't even know about it.
I'd been to Port Dover. Right.
That's the one people know.
Right.
Yeah.
But I had never spent any time in Simcoe or like we live in Waterford now. I'd never heard of that community before.
Wonderful.
It's a beautiful community. Absolutely. It's lovely.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I can't imagine being anywhere else. But yeah, I mean, my favorite place to live, was Toronto. I love
such a stark
busy,
contrast,
right? Yeah, I know. But in Toronto, you could leave work, you could go to the theater, see if there were like cheap seats left in the for tickets, and you could do anything, any time of day, right? The world was, there for you.
We thought we wanted to move to New York City.
I love New York City too, but then we moved from Toronto back to Welland in Niagara, and that was like a culture shock for us because we gotten used to the convenience of living in the city, and then we went back to Niagara where it's a little slower paced and stores do close, right? So you can't go shopping any time of the night and there's not as much to do. There's things to do but not as much to do. So then the thought of coming this way, I'm like, well, it's only 3 years. That was our so what, it's only 3 years and it's only an hour to Niagara, so let's do it, right? It'd be a good opportunity. Let's do it. And then then it's permanent now.
Yep. They get you here.
They get you here. Yeah. It's like a little cult, right? What did we not cover, Drew?
Everything. I was glancing at things as we were going. I was like, check. I usually end the podcast with some like quick little hot round questions if you're up for it.
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure.
We might have even, let me make sure we haven't covered anything like that. Okay, first one.
Yes.
What's something about nursing or your life kind of related to nursing that most people would never guess? Anything we haven't like actually spoken about? I mean, we've talked about prisoners overdosing, things like that. So I didn't anticipate that.
I don't know that there's anything. I mean, people who know me know my career pretty well. I mean, I think most people who don't know me would be surprised to know that I was a slammer nurse, right? Like that would be news to them.
Yeah.
In my own life, are there any surprises? I don't know. I can play the flute.
Oh, really?
I love music, but I think most people who know me know I love music.
Okay.
Right? Like I'm a concert goer.
Yep.
I love all sorts of music. I don't.
What's the last concert you went to?
I went on Friday night to.
Look at you! You are not lying.
To see, no, I'm not lying. We went to Niagara Falls to see Trooper and Glass Tiger.
Okay. Wow. So you're like proper.
Yeah, I love concerts. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do as well.
Yeah. I probably have more than 100 under my belt. I'm
Wow.
sure. Like we go a few times a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that since I was a teenager. Right. Like.
There was one summer where we're like, this is what we're doing this summer. And I think
we did
saw
that
close
too.
to 10.
Yeah, we did that too. It was almost every week. It was an expensive summer.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
Especially now. Like I wanted to go see the Chili Peppers and it was like at least starting at $500.
Yeah, they're so expensive now, right? Yeah. We could, when I was a teenager, I can remember like the first concert I went to was in Buffalo. It was at the football stadium there. And it was like all day. Like there were people all day. Yeah. Right. So you paid one price and
so you're really getting your money's worth.
Oh, yeah. All day long.
Festival,
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, that first concert, I think the first group I saw was Rolling Stones.
Oh, my gosh.
So, and because I'm old, I've seen a lot of really great groups over the years. Right. Because I'm from that era. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard they're amazing.
Oh, they were great. They were great. Like a lot of those really big groups, like Led Zeppelin was a good group to see.
And this is pre-auto-tune, so they really do know how to sing.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Whereas
absolutely.
now you can kind of cheat a little bit.
Yeah. And we introduced our kids too. Like we started taking our kids to concerts too.
Oh, nice.
So they, same thing for them, right? We would take them. I think the first one my daughter went to was New Kids on the Block, which didn't thrill me, but that was her.
Don't tell Ashley that.
That was her thing, right?
Yeah.
And then, but the first one we took them both to was like a Black Sabbath concert.
Oh, really?
Right?
Okay.
So there's your intro to music.
My first one was Shania Twain.
Oh, wow.
I must have been 8 or 9. My
Oh,
mom took me to
young.
Pops Coliseum.
Nice.
That was kind of
Was it fun?
It was a
Did you like
blast.
it?
I mean, I was into drumming back then, so I was very focused on the drummer.
Right.
And I remember he had like the ski mask on. This guy's so cool. But
It's a whole different world, that's for sure.
oh yeah.
Yes.
But it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're not so much concert goers, my parents, but I did take my mom. We went and saw Elton John on his last tour.
Yes.
But me and Ash kind of our relationship revolved around the Arkells.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we really like this band called The Dip, which
I've
is
never
like
heard them.
an 8-piece band, sort of New Orleans-ish.
Oh, so bluesy?
Little
jazzy?
little croony. I wanna
Oh,
say.
okay.
His voice is very, very Sinatra-like. I want to
Okay,
say, but
nice.
very southern.
Right.
They have a trumpet player and a saxophone
Okay.
player, and
I'll have to have a listen.
The Dip.
The Dip.
Very,
Okay.
very, very good.
All right.
Very, very
I'll have a listen.
Yeah. Do I have any plan? We're trying to see the Arkells again.
Yes.
But nothing.
You must see them every time they come
At
around. I
least
can't
a few
imagine you
times a
missing
year.
them.
Wow. I mean, we kind of grew up with them. We would run
Yes.
into them all the time.
Yes. Yep.
He bought me shots at a bar one time. We have a lot of mutual friends. I don't know if he would recognize me, Max, or anything like that. But
I'm sure.
we've
I'm sure
crossed
they
paths
would.
many times.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. If you can go back and give yourself your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, I think it would be just to trust in the process. Because as a younger person, I used to lament a lot about things not going my way. Right.
Same.
And, I've learned over the years that, those difficult times, those negative things that you had to work through, they led you somewhere better. And so you just need to trust that, where you are now is not necessarily where you're going to be 5 years from now.
It's hard to see it.
It is very hard to see it. It's hard to trust, in the process, right? But I think that is really what I would want to convey to myself, not to sweat so much over that stuff.
It's that 2020 hindsight.
Yeah, and just kind of to live in the day, like live in the moment, right? Yeah, be present in the moment. Don't be thinking about what's coming and what's ahead. Just, take advantage of what's in front of you right now and live what you can.
I think you mean have very much future mindsets. We're always, and it's hey, slow down, slow down.
Yeah, there's so much you can miss, right? If you're focused on the future, right? Just revel in what you have today.
It's like the other day, I've really been trying to practice this. The older I get, just trying to do that more. But just that one warm day, I was like, I was trying to get this episode out, the previous one. I was like, you know what? It's going to get cold. Just go outside and then just read a book or something, right?
Yes. Yeah, walk away, step away from it. Go do something else.
Yeah. And I did. It was great.
Good.
It was great.
And probably reset your brain, right?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you always want to go, accomplish, but then you burn out.
Yes, you do.
Right? So you got to listen. You got to listen to yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Finally, what's the story behind the very dirty vodka martini that you requested?
I don't know. It's just what.
Is that always your go-to?
Not all. I don't know. When I was a teenager, like my drink was gin and Wink, which was like
I remember Wink.
Sweet drink.
Yes.
And then your taste buds mature over time, and I think I had my first martini when I was at the college. I was out for dinner with a group, and somebody had a martini. I'm like, okay, I want to try that, right? And as soon as I tried it, I thought, I like that. I'm not a beer drinker. Okay. Like, I think sometimes people are surprised by that because they think most people drink beer. I don't like beer. I've never liked beer. I don't even want to kiss somebody who's drank a beer.
I see.
Like, I don't like it at all. I'm a big beer hater, but I love wine.
Okay.
Right. I love Italian wines. Yeah. Like I don't drink just one thing, but if I'm going to do something special for myself, then yes, it would be a dirty martini.
Nice.
And the dirtier the better.
I agree.
So I
We're on the same boat there.
want that olive juice in there. I want lots of olives, right? Yeah.
You ever had like a pickle version? Like a pickle brine?
I'm not a dill pickle person.
Okay.
So no, I haven't.
Okay. I've had
try
some
one.
where they replace the olive brine with pickle brine.
With pickle brine?
Yeah. It's a little sour.
With dill pickle brine or sweet pickle brine?
I feel like you could do anything.
Either?
Sweet would be nice.
Might be.
Although you like dry, so maybe not. Not sweet.
I don't know. Might have to try it.
Yeah. My I really like Negronis. That's kind of my thing.
Yes?
Oh,
yeah.
Very bitter.
Yes.
Once you take the first couple sips, though, you
right.
So.
Yeah. I think probably I drink more wine than anything else.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right.
I'm a red wine drinker.
Yes. I do. I like any kind of wine, but if I'm eating a meal, it's usually red.
Red?
Yeah. It's a hot summer day, white.
Yes.
Rosé.
Yeah, something cold. Yeah,
something
for
cold.
sure. For sure.
100%. Most notable memory working as an officiant, good or bad?
Oh.
Or both, if you have some good stories.
I don't know about notable, but I have some favorites. Aside from yours.
Yeah.
I did a surprise wedding one time, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh, I've never done that.
So the couple was, they were getting married, and they had invited everyone to their cottage under the ruse of it was going to be a surprise party for the fellow.
Okay.
So they had this house full of company, and then I showed up, and then they said, "Oh, it's not a birthday party. We're getting married." And the people went crazy, like the guests went crazy, which was wonderful, right? It was really kind of weird when I got there because
who are you?
That's exactly what happened,
I'm
right?
So-and-so's third cousin.
So that's exactly what happened, right? Like I tried to like arrive as late in the process as I could.
Yeah.
And then when I got there, yes, there were like people were lovely and were chatting, right? And they're like, "How do you know Bill and Rita?" I'm like, we're relatively new friends." Like I'm trying to say something that's not a lie, but not give away who I am, right?
Yeah.
And then
they're like, you look familiar.
Yeah.
Did you go to a wedding recently?
So that was fun. I really enjoyed.
Talk
I really
about being
enjoyed
present.
that one. Yeah, it was great.
Because they're not stressing about what am
No.
I going to wear, the
Half
makeup, and
of
being
them
on
were in
time.
bathing suits.
Right?
Right?
And now it's just happening.
Yes, exactly.
And you have no
and
choice.
everybody was so thrilled for them, right? And then there was none of that, because they said they didn't want people to bring gifts. They didn't want all the fuss, right? So that just took all that out of there because nobody knew what was happening. So I mean,
would love that.
That was fun. That was fun. Yeah. I did another one that was fun in the river at Ivy's Dam in Port Dover. So I had this couple who that spot was special to them, and that was where he had proposed to her. And so when they called me, they said, so we want to get married like standing in the water, right? Would you do that? I'm like, of course I would. Right? I said, but first make sure you got permission to do that because I'm pretty sure that's private property, right? The people who live next door own that. And I said to the groom, I might need help because there's no path down to the water there.
Did you wear
it's
water
really
wings or anything?
I had not water wings, but I had water shoes on.
No life jacket?
No,
okay.
No life jacket. I'm a pretty good swimmer.
That's good.
But yeah, wouldn't that be funny if you showed up with
That'd
water
be really
wings on?
funny.
No, I had water shoes on because I didn't trust it. They were barefoot, but I didn't trust myself not to slip. And you couldn't see our feet anyway. They were underwater, right? So it was cold. My feet were pretty numb by the time we were done and out. But it was beautiful, and the pictures were great because the falls was kind of like in the background.
Oh, yeah, and things will be reflecting.
Yes, and moving. The water was moving, and it was quite lovely. It was quite different.
I would love to film that.
Yeah.
That's
It
very
would have been-
cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. You get all sorts of opportunities, right? All sorts of different requests from people. People have different ideas about
What's the
what they wanna do.
strangest request you've got?
Oh, I don't know that I don't think I've ever had a really strange request. I had one couple one time that they wanted they didn't want anybody present. They just wanted the two of them. And I said, you have to have two witnesses. So it has to be somebody.
Legally.
Like whether if you're bringing along a photographer, they could sign for you, or if the venue, has somebody on site, they could, but you have to have two people who will sign for you. So they said, they were going to bring like his brother and her sister or something. I'm like, okay, that's perfect. That's all we need. We just need those 5 people, right? We're good. And then the morning of the wedding, he called me to say that his brother was sick. So they didn't have.
And you can't be a witness.
I cannot be a witness,
Right.
but my husband could. So I'm like, Dave, how do you feel about putting a suit on and going to a wedding today?
You want to sign some marriage licenses?
So I said to the groom, I said, I'm bringing my husband along if you want, right? He's like, okay. I said, okay, Dave, it's take your husband to work day. Like,
That's so funny.
so he came along and he was witness for them.
That's so
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. So weird things happen, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Weird things happen.
I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah, it's so much fun though. People are so amazing, right? Every couple is different.
Yeah.
They were all very different personalities. They're different wants and desires, and it's just to me, it's amazing to have that social connection, which is part of the reason why I went into this. Is I really knew that when I retired, I could not just retire. I would be bored to death, and I wanted to make sure that I did something that was social, that would kind of keep me connected with people.
Oh my God.
So it's perfect.
Mentally healthy.
Yeah, and I have to work, right? Like there's work involved in writing things, so I have to use my brain as well, right? And I do have to keep a bit organized in order to kind of manage the business end of things. So it works.
You get to travel.
It works for me. I get to travel.
Beautiful decor.
Yes, yeah, and sometimes I get to travel places. Like sometimes people are willing. Like I do charge mileage if I'm traveling outside of Norfolk County, and for some people that's not an issue. So I've done a couple weddings up in Muskoka.
Nice.
Right, where people were, I'm thinking, well, there's mileage and there's accommodation if I'm going that far. I can't go up and back same day.
Yeah.
And they're like, yep, that's no problem.
Yeah.
We want you. Come on.
We put up our videographers for the night just because they came from far away, but we're like,
Right.
we want you.
Right.
So we'll make sure you have somewhere
Right.
to stay.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'd be making nothing, right? By the time you had those costs. I did a wedding out in Edmonton last year, so that
Oh,
was
cool.
kind of fun.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're obviously you're not a nurse anymore, so nobody
Nope.
asked you
Nope.
for that, but
Nope.
you are an officiant.
Yes.
So where do people find you? How do they get in touch?
So I have a website, shirleykennedy.ca.
Yeah.
pretty simple. That's the best spot to reach out to me. There's lots of info on the website about getting married, and pretty much everything you need to know is on the website. But I'm also on Instagram. Shirley Kennedy Officiant is where you'd find me on Instagram. For the older folks, I'm on Facebook too.
Yeah.
But I tend not to. I'm terrible about posting to Facebook. I tend to forget about it.
It's exhausting.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And even, off season, I find it hard to think about content for Instagram because I'm not goofy, right? I'm not a good content creator.
Well, it's like I don't think you're really struggling to book a.
No, there's that too,
So
right? There's
why?
that too. There's that too as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're booked up on someone's wedding date who's listening to this right now, any advice for them?
There are other good officiants in the area. When people send me requests and I can't do that date, I do make recommendations, people
nice.
that I trust for them.
Anything they should look for?
And I think you just need to find the right fit for you, right? I think people shouldn't be afraid to reach out to more than one officiant to kind of get a sense of how they feel about them, unless they know somebody already.
Yeah.
They need to ask questions, right? Like they need to be, I like when officiants are straight up front about costs. I have all my costs on my website. I think if you want to reach out to me, I think you should know ahead of time what the cost is, right? A lot of officiants don't do that, right? They call or reach out for whatever, right? But I think, be upfront. If that's out of somebody's budget, why should they bother spending time?
I think I had all of my base prices at least, and then there's always add-ons.
Yeah, there's add-ons for sure. But and just ask questions, right? You want to know what happens if I think one of the key things, what happens if our ceremony's late, right? If it's delayed? Because some officiants will do many ceremonies in one day.
Right. So they got to go from one.
They're on a schedule.
I see.
So if
good to know,
one is
actually.
delayed, then what happens to the next one, right?
Yeah.
So I try not to do that for that reason. I don't want that kind of stress in my life. I don't need to do that. So I try to only book one in a day, or if I take two, then they're really well spaced apart. One is a morning brunch and one is a 5 o'clock evening. Right?
Yeah.
So I got lots and lots of time, but you kind of want to know those things, right? And I think if you just Google, things to ask my officiant, you'll get it. There's lots of good lists out there of things that you should ask, right? Yeah. And how much input do you get to have? Like, is it a cookie cutter thing where you're just going to insert our names, or do I get to contribute to?
I love the way you do it.
It's like a Build-A-Bear.
It's like a Build-A-Bear. Yeah. Yeah. There is structure.
Yeah.
But you can kind of pick and choose.
Yes.
Where you want to put the pieces.
Yes.
Yeah.
And which pieces do you want to add in?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't have to think too hard because that's your job is to
Right.
sort of structure, but at the same time you have a little bit of say.
You have some choice, right? And that really helps make it personal, right? Because it's reflective of who you are as a couple, right? Your personalities. And I think too, the other thing people need to ask is, they need to have a sense of what kind of vibe they want before they talk to an officiant. So are you looking for a comedy show, or are you looking for something religious, or are you looking, and just make sure that the officiant that you're talking to does what you want. Can they deliver what it is that you're looking for?
Some people are terrified and just want to get it done as soon as possible.
There's that too.
As soon as possible.
Yeah, I get a lot of that, right? They don't. It's funny because you are the center of attention when you're getting married, but they are people who don't like to be the center of attention.
How fast can we do this?
Yes, yeah. It's and the short and sweet, right? Is what they'll say. We want it really short, as short as it can be. Yeah. Well, it can be short, but it can't be too short, right?
Yeah, a little substance.
You do. There has to be something there.
Something.
And that's the other thing too about being comfortable with your officiant, right? Because if you are nervous, you need to be standing with somebody who can help settle those jitters.
Yeah,
right?
Calm presence.
Yes, yeah, and somebody who I usually, there's things that I will whisper to people like when we're getting started or as we go along that the guests don't necessarily hear, but it's intended for them to just kind of take a breath, relax.
And even the little things, I remember you showing me even hand placement and things like that, and how to hold it like this, and do this.
Yeah. And some of that, I often wonder if some of that's overwhelming. I mean, that's all about photography, right?
Yeah,
that's
not
about
for me.
That's about the photographer getting the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people forget, but all of the everything, all the people that the bride and groom have hired, all these vendors, you are a team in a way.
Yes, we are.
And so I try to, talk to let's go talk to the officiant, see how she works,
Right.
And then someone like you be like, well, what do you need from me?
Right.
And,
Right. Yeah.
it doesn't always work like that.
Yeah.
But.
And I think too, like, will they share with you what they're going to say?
Yeah.
I think that's important. Like, I always send that document to my couples ahead of time, so they have a chance to kind of see what their ceremony is going to look like
it's
from
very
start
useful.
to finish, right? And I also send it to vendors who are involved, like
That's
not
great.
necessarily fully detailed, but at least kind of an order of service. So I send that to the photographer. Sometimes I send it to the music folk, and if there's a wedding planner, for sure, because those are the people that you want them to understand exactly the order that things are going to happen, and
it takes the pressure off the bride and groom, because now all these individual vendors aren't asking them this question, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Very professional. Yes.
Oh, I try to be. I think that comes from nursing too, right? You learn as a nurse, like you're trained, right, from the beginning to be professional.
Yeah.
So then it was an easy transition for me to become an officiant, because there's so many of the qualities that you have as a nurse that really transition easily into, that just caring about people and providing a service to people,
have some
and
procedures in
being
place.
kind and empathetic and being organized, and those things, being able to communicate with people, helping people in stressful times, like all those things that you did as a nurse, you do as an officiant too, right?
Oh yeah, it would help if they're freaking out, like, oh, I've seen this before.
Yes. Yeah, not worried about this,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, and sometimes I got to say, sometimes nursing things come into play. Like, I've been at weddings where somebody's fainted, right? So it's like, oops, okay, hang on, pause.
Or if their neck's like
Pause.
this, you
Yeah,
kinda
no,
know,
that's
you know
never
what that is.
That's never happened at a wedding, thank heavens.
Taking Valium,
Different kind of wedding.
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
No.
Fascinating life, Shirley.
Yeah, it's been an interesting life. I've had a really good life. I'm really lucky.
Yeah.
You
seem very happy.
I'm very happy. I've been married to a good man for a long time.
Shout out Dave.
I have two wonderful kids who, are really good people. And as a mom, you don't know that when you're a parent. Parenting, you parent blind, right? You do the best you can. You don't really know what the outcome's going to be. You just pray to God that it's going to be good. And, both my kids are good people. They're both married to wonderful people who are good for them.
Nice.
And, we have a grandson who's a real joy, right?
Nice.
So,
you use the term glamour?
yeah, that's what he calls me. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Grandma's too old, right?
I love it.
I want to be a little bit more glamorous than grandma.
Glamour's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, I love glamour. Yeah.
I was like, is this a typo? And I had
No, it's quite intentional.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, he calls Dave Pop Pop. That's
Pop
Dave.
Pop.
Pop Pop. That's Dave's name. Pop Pop. Yeah,
Okay.
he was quite. They're funny, little ones. They're so funny. But I can remember when he was first starting to print, and he could sign his own cards, and he's doing a birthday card for Dave, and he writes poo poo, and then he puts the tail on the last O to turn it into a P, and he giggles every time he does it. Right.
How their minds work.
I know, it's so amazing, right?
Yeah.
They're so funny kids. So I mean, I do have a good life. I mean, it hasn't always been perfect all the way along, but it brought me to I'm in a good place, right? I love what I do, right? I love officiating. We travel a lot. I love to travel. There's nothing I like to do.
You do a lot. Kayaking I saw in there.
I do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
We like to kayak. We're lucky because we live in Waterford, right? So we've got those great trails for biking. We've used them for snowshoeing too. The ponds are right there, so it's very easy to throw your kayaks in the car and just go paddle for a few hours. So yeah, I love to do that. I golf. I don't golf as much as I used to, but I do still golf, and we go to concerts. But yeah, travel. If you say to me, Shirley, do you want to go wherever? We're leaving tomorrow. I'm packed. I'm ready. I'm gone.
Yeah.
I wanna see the world. There's so many places.
Where are we going next?
Where am I going next? I mean, this year we're just doing I went to Panama in the winter, and then this year we're just doing some kind of local stuff. But next year we're going to Scotland. So we're going to spend a couple weeks in Scotland.
Very nice.
We've been there before,
Okay.
But as part of a cruise. So we had 3 ports in Scotland. So we just got a day in each spot. We were going to go spend 2 weeks there. That's kind of our heritage. So we want to do a little bit more exploring there.
Yeah, I think I have some blood from there.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. And then funny enough, my sister and I were talking about planning a trip, and we had just agreed that we're going to go to Dubai.
Really?
And then I came home that same day to see, well, we're not going there anytime soon. Hopefully that gets straightened around. But
I'm supposed to go to a wedding in Turkey in September.
Oh, Turkey's beautiful.
Which also borders the same country. So,
yes. Yeah, wait and see.
Hopefully
wait and see. Hopefully it
I have a
works
flight
out.
booked there, actually landing in Greece.
Okay.
But we haven't booked a return. So
Okay.
we're just going to play it cool.
Okay.
See how this plays out.
See what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to spend some time in Greece?
Yeah, that's the
first?
plan. Yeah.
It's beautiful there.
Go like a week before
Yeah.
the wedding and then
Gorgeous.
spend a week after the wedding in Turkey. Yeah.
Yeah. We always have something on the radar. Dave and I think it was our 35th anniversary, we sat down when we went out for dinner and we made a list. Kind of a bucket list of the places that we wanted to see. And then I took that list and I put it in the order of what needs the most mobility so that we get the tough stuff done, so all the hiking in Lake Louise and Banff and Jasper, that's all done. We've done that. And now, we're kind of edging towards the things that are more simple, right? Easier, not so physically involved, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My parents are kind of in the middle of that. They're just doing as much as they can.
Yeah.
Right now, while they physically can, right?
That's right.
You just never know.
Well, you start to think about that, right?
Yeah.
How many more years do we have that we can do this?
Can you hike a mountain for?
Yeah, exactly. And how much longer, are we going to be able to afford the health insurance to go out of country? Like those things get more expensive as you get older.
Yeah.
But there's so many great, and we don't tend to go back to places. There's just too many new places.
Right.
There's so many places to see in the world that I really almost don't have time to go back to something. I want to go somewhere else that I haven't been, right? And I'm not a resort kind of person. I want to live that country's life. I want to eat their food. I want to drink their wine. I want to go to places where they're, I want to go where they go. One of my first questions always when I get somewhere is, I'll ask the taxi driver, if you're going out for a special dinner to celebrate an anniversary or birthday, where do you go? And then I'll make sure I go there.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not usually something that anybody else knows about.
That's the best spot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely it is.
Me and Ash are like that. I think the only time we did a resort together was our honeymoon, and even then we still went scuba diving and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, because you're bored if you sit still.
Yeah.
I can't sit still like that. No.
I like a tiki bar at a pool.
Yeah.
But the next day I'm going to want to
do something. That's right.
So,
That's right. Yeah.
Balance.
Yeah. No, it's true. We went to Panama. We stayed at a resort, but the same thing, right? Like each day we day the pool, day out, right?
Yeah.
Go do something else. Hire somebody, take us somewhere, go see something.
Makes sense. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story on the podcast.
You're
Excited for your
welcome.
book.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. It's been good to be here.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
I love it.
Thanks for officiating my wedding.
You're
You did a very
welcome.
good job.
Oh my God, I'm telling you, it always will be. I've been contracted by one of your friends to do a wedding, right? And they said to me, "Oh, we can't wait to see what you write. We just love Drew and Ashley's wedding so much." I'm thinking, "Oh, please, that's a pretty high bar. I don't know if I can meet that bar again. I'll try my best, but
Yeah, maybe I'll link the video under the podcast or something so people can go see it.
It was so much fun. It was
Yeah.
so much fun to do that.
That was such a blast.
Yeah. That outside of the box thinking that happens in my head.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yep. I'm not an in the box kind of girl.
Well, you can't ask for Arkel's lyrics anymore because that's been taken. It's copyrighted now. No.
But some of that is just finding, what is it that people love, right? What is it that makes their relationship special? And then sometimes you can.
Did you listen to all the music when you were doing that? Or?
Well, I mean, I've been to Arkel's concerts.
Oh, look at you.
Right?
Of course you have.
I've been to a concert. I went to the same one you went to at Burning Kiln, right?
Right.
Which was before your wedding. So I've been there. But no, I didn't know them that well. And they were like song titles, right? So I didn't have to look at all of the lyrics.
Right.
I just Googled, their list of songs and album
tried to piece
things,
it together.
and then just kind of looked at it and how can this be? Because I've done that kind of trick before. I did it one time for a family wedding where they were board game players. So we used words like Clue and Monopoly and Scrabble, and you were able to kind of work that into the conversation. So I mean, it's an easy thing to do if you have the right topic, right? And the Arkel's titles were like perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well
So
done.
it was great. It was
Wow.
great. Yeah.
Okay, until next time.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe after the book comes out.
I think so. I think you
we
should.
could do that again.
Yeah.
for
Once
sure.
it's out, let me know. I'll read it, and then we can talk about it.
I'll make sure you get a copy.
Okay.
Okay,
Sounds
that's
good.
great.
All
Thanks
right.
so much, Drew.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey you, you're listening to Just Drew, Just Drew, Just Drew.